3. While Formula One's governing body is happy that Andretti Global's bid meets all the relevant criteria, the important Phase 3 sees the team thrashing out financial terms with the commercial rights holder, which is Formula One itself. Bluntly put, if Formula One doesn't, can't or won't come to an agreement with Andretti, the team won't be on the grid in either 2025 or 2026. Formula One's reactions all through the application process has been rather lukewarm though towards the whole thing, but now comes the time to sit at the table and see what arrangement is possible. If Formula One does eventually agree terms with Andretti, it would much rather see a 2026 entry when the new Concord agreement would be in play, as opposed to the other one that covers the 2021 to 2025 seasons, with just the $200 million anti-dilution fee in that period. Be that as it may, now it has the letter, or should that be press release, from the FIA confirming it is happy. Preparations can now be ramped up with the teams, and that includes figuring out which two squishy bits of organic material will strap themselves into the first Andretti Cadillac Formula One car. Let's take a look at some of the contenders, starting with, yep, you guessed it, Colton Herta. When we spoke about exclusive drivers to Mario Andretti in August, the father of Boss Michael reiterated that the fact there would be an American driver in one of the two seats. For this particular reason, 2 plus 2 does not equal 4, but it does equal Colton Herta. In autumn of 2022, Red Bull Motorsport advisor Helmut Marko tried everything to get Herta a seat in Formula One with AlphaTauri, but his lack of super license points was a stumbling block. For argument's sake, let's say Andretti enters in 2026. The 3-year period for points to count would cover the 2023 to 2025 seasons, with 40 the magical number required to get that super license. In 2023, Herta finished 10th in the IndyCar standings, enough to earn him 1 point, meaning 39 are still required. He will need to finish in the top 3 standings in the next 2 seasons to hit that 40-point mark, with the champion actually receiving the full whack in one go. If he finds himself a few points short, Herta could jump into some Formula 1 free practice 1 sessions if Andretti could find a team willing to do this, to earn some extra points, in the same way Logan Sargent did with Williams in 2022. As it stands over the 2021, 2022 and 23 seasons, Herta has 10 points from his IndyCar commitments, although the 21 Hall of 8 will fall away at the end of the 2024 season. Herta might be the choice Andretti wants, but getting him there may be a very different story altogether. If they are not able to get Herta into that seat, Valtteri Bottas is, of course, a very logical choice. Now, while Andretti certainly has its aspirations to be mixing it with the likes of Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes and McLaren, that is not going to happen straight away. A good first season or two will become a regular point scorer and Q3 fixture, battling away in the midfield for every point. As such, Andretti will require a calm, experienced and knowledgeable head with the front-running experience to help the team grow, but also with the know-how of navigating minefields and the midfield. On the current grid, the standout candidate is of course Valtteri Bottas. He should be number 1 on the shopping list for Andretti come 2025 or 26. When Audi rock up to Sauber in 2026, it is likely that it will want its own high-profile signing to lead the team. Audi is unlikely then to retain Bottas' services, which leaves him either with one option of retirement or getting stuck in and building the Andretti project. Let us not forget that Bottas is an extremely fast driver, one who outqualified Lewis Hamilton at a rate of about 1 in 3 at Mercedes. He has priceless knowledge of a title-winning machine and relevant racing experience of batting away in the midfield, both with Williams and latterly Alfa Romeo. If Bottas is interested in the seat, it is really a no-brainer, and Andretti should be chucking whatever it takes to get the Finn signature on the dotted line. Sergio Perez similarly fits the bill, and he is unlikely to be at Red Bull in 2025 and would be in a similar boat to Bottas, with the opportunity to potentially leave a lasting legacy in Formula One. Another name that has been speculated with this team is Joseph Newgarden. If Herta fails to get a super license, the next best thing Michael Andretti can do to get an American in the seat is to get on the phone to Roger Penske and ask the captain if he wouldn't awfully mind releasing his star driver for a shot at Formula 1. Newgarden has been linked to Formula 1 before, back in 2017 after wrapping up his first IndyCar title. As the Toro Rosso driver nonsense played out with Daniel Kvyat, Pierre Gasly, Brendan Hartley and Carlos Sainz taking musical chairs to the extreme, Newgarden was touted to be a potential driver for the remaining 4 races of the year. However, he firmly rejected that at the time, believing it would make no sense to trundle around the back of the Formula 1 field. Along with 2021 and 23 champion Alex Palou, Newgarden is arguably one of the top 5 drivers in the world not in Formula 1, and is a devastatingly fast driver on his day. He finally had that Indy 500 win he has craved for so long under his belt, so could the opportunity appeal to drive for an American team in Formula 1? That should certainly be questioned. Probably not, perhaps with an FP1 outing or test day, his hope of getting behind the wheel. And lastly, to take that wheel would be Jamie Chadwick, who was touted to take a seat with another racing team. I'm trying to remember who it was. I think it was Carlin, who were hoping to get into Formula 1. Of course, their bid was denied by the FIA, and now Jamie Chadwick's hopes and dreams of getting into a Formula 1 seat would certainly lie with who she's currently racing with, and that is, of course, Andretti. Perhaps the least likely of all candidates here is Jamie Chadwick, who has been long-listed as the next hope of getting a female driver into Formula 1. She is currently competing in the Indy NXS series with Andretti, but her first season stateside was poor, with a best finish of 6th in Portland and 10th in the standings. Moreover, the points that Chadwick earned for her W Series title success will be wiped by the time of 2026, meaning she would face an almighty battle to secure enough points to earn that vital super license. So, a lot of drivers in the works and in the wings waiting for an Andretti seat, but we'll have to wait and see who that certainly does come in 2025 or 2026, who Andretti decides to take and put into that seat. We have Orville Clisby there in the comment section saying, remember the title battle of, Orville Clisby saying an American driver that comes with no money, or that comes with money would certainly be he hopes for Andretti. Of course, there are a lot more American viewerships and a lot more American viewers coming to the sport, so of course a lot more American sponsors would be wanting to come on board with an American driver. We'll have to wait and see though who will come into the team with Andretti should Formula 1 management approve their bid to join as Formula 1's 11th team in 2025 or 2026. Moving on now to our next article, and we have spoken about it at length in the last few weeks, about Daniel Ricciardo and when he will be joining the Formula 1 grid yet again because of that broken hand of his. And now another article coming out saying the Ricciardo decision has been made ahead of the Qatar Grand Prix. Daniel Ricciardo is still not yet fit enough to return to AlphaTauri at the Qatar Grand Prix, meaning that Liam Lawson will once again step up this weekend. Red Bull reserve driver Liam Lawson was drafted in to fill Ricciardo's seat after he sustained a hand injury during a practice session ahead of the Dutch Grand Prix. Ricciardo had initially targeted a potential comeback in Singapore, but upon further reflection, then shifted his focus to climbing behind the wheel in Qatar. However now, journalist Chris Medland has reported that the Australian is making steady progress in the simulator, but still isn't yet at 100% fitness. As a result, he has now set sights on a likely return at the United States Grand Prix, indicating that this upcoming race in Qatar will likely be the last for Lawson. Lawson has impressed the paddock after securing his first ever Formula 1 points haul at the Singapore Grand Prix, and has also consistently outperformed his teammate Yuki Tsunoda, who has been guaranteed a seat for next year. But despite receiving praise from Red Bull, he fell short of securing a 2024 spot, with Ricciardo also confirmed to have cemented his position at AlphaTauri in 2024. Currently, only one seat is available at Williams, but it is believed that Lawson will continue as a Red Bull reserve driver, provided he is guaranteed a 2025 promotion. Ricciardo replaced Nick de Vries after just 10 races in the season, with the expectation that the move positioned him on a path to potentially be reclaiming that Red Bull seat from the struggling Sergio Perez. However, now with the speculation that Perez could possibly lose the seat to Ricciardo after a series of underwhelming results, Lawson could well return to the grid earlier than expected. Of course, we'll have to wait and see. We don't think that Perez will lose the seat before the end of this year, but there is a lot of speculation that if he does not up his pace for 2024, he could lose his seat mid-season as well, following on the trend of Nick de Vries. But we'll have to wait and see what happens with that seat. Sad to hear that Daniel Ricciardo is not going to be sitting in the seat this weekend, of course, in Qatar. There were maybe some speculations that he might sit in the FP1 session, but if he wasn't fit enough in that FP1 session to go throughout the rest of the weekend, then of course that would really put Liam Lawson on the back foot, because it is a sprint race weekend, which means that there's only one practice session. Of course, on the Friday you've got FP1, then you've got qualifying in the evening, then sprint qualifying on Saturday morning, sprint race on the afternoon, and then of course the race on Sunday. So you really need that first practice session to get to grips with this track, and it's a really difficult track, really high speed. We will be getting up a track guide a little bit later in the week for you guys. I'm hoping to finish that tomorrow and get that up for you. But now moving on to our next article, James Key is in the... Well, Alfa Romeo's Joe Guanyu has said James Key's arrival at the Formula 1 team is a refreshing one, as the former McLaren boss is tasked with delivering a big step in 2024. Alfa Romeo has been languishing near the rear of the midfield with a 2023 car that has lacked overall aerodynamic performance. It has restricted the team to just 10 points so far, 2 points behind fellow strugglers Haas, while seeing Alex Albon and Williams break free as the clear favourites to finish 7th and 8 points ahead. Alfa's disappointing season so far is prompting major changes to its car. The project, which has been overseen by an incoming technical director, James Key, who has been headhunted by his former McLaren boss, Andreas Seidel, to lead the car development as the Sauber team's transitions into the Audi Works squad by 2026. Joe, who has recently re-signed with the team for a third season, said Key's arrival has been a boost for the team in its quest to take major gains. It is very refreshing for the team in general, Joe told reporters. The atmosphere doesn't change massively, but the way how we bring in new people. James works very closely with Andreas, which is in a nice way, because Andreas is going to lead the Works team in the future, so it sounds super exciting. I had a lot of meetings with James as well. He was quite happy to hear the drivers, as well as giving feedback, which is very clear just to be moving forward and to improve. It is what we need to make bigger changes for the 2024 package and make a bigger step. So I think that with James here in the future, we can definitely be heading in a direction that is a lot better. Alfa's head of trackside engineering, Xavier Pujola, admitted that the team's 2023 season has shown that the team's car needs a major overhaul to avoid being stuck in no man's land for next season. Our mindset is to take a big step, otherwise we'll get stuck where we are. James is really working hard on next year's car, but obviously he's looking at what we've got now and helping in any area that we can to improve in the short term, which we want to do, because P7 is still our target. To that end, Alfa will continue to develop its 2023 car all the way to the penultimate round in Las Vegas in the middle of November. Very interesting to see that the introduction of that new key member in Alfa Romeo is starting to ramp up their development for next season, as well as trying to get that development for this car a lot better as well, because of course if they can get the basis of this current car, they can really maybe hit the ground running a lot better next season with a lot more understanding. Yeah, very interesting. I have a bunch of you guys talking about the Battle of Napoleon. He says, I remember the title Battle of Waterloo. Napoleon lost because Latifi crashed into him, says Mark's box. And he also says they'd bring back Danny Rick. He should be back very soon in Austin, which is the next race after the Qatar Grand Prix. And yeah, hopefully we will get a refreshed and a much fitter Danny Rick back in that car. Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. My name is Reece. I'll be talking to you a little bit today about one of our channel partners, Bitdefender. Bitdefender is a global leader in cyber security. Bitdefender is committed to defending people all around the globe against cyber attacks, as well as to transform people's digital experiences. In the next 6 months, Forever Sports will be covering major tournaments such as the Rugby Championship, the Premier League, the remainder of the Formula 1 season, as well as embarking on the biggest Rugby World Cup YouTube campaign ever. To ensure that these are all a success, it is imperative that the Forever Sports channels and platforms remain uncompromised. And with Bitdefender, we can be assured that our cybersecurity needs are being taken care of. To read more on Bitdefender, please be sure to check the links in the description of our video. Once again, thank you very much to our partner, Bitdefender, for joining the channel. I've been Reece here on Forever Sports. Thank you very much. Our next two articles are about Max Verstappen, and Max Verstappen has admitted that while breaking historical records is great, his career focus is winning the Drivers' Championship and achieving with his team. The recent dominance of Verstappen needs no introduction. A total of 38 wins from the last 60 Grand Prix by the Dutchman alone highlights his level of success. Along the way, the Red Bull centerpiece has naturally conquered some of Formula 1's storied records. His crown and glory being the most consecutive races won in a row, which is now 10, beating the previous record of Sebastian Vettel with 9. Despite these achievements, Verstappen still values the world title more than any other record. While speaking on the Red Bull podcast, the reigning champion explained his thinking behind the lust for the Drivers' Championship over anything else. It's good, but at the other end, I'm not too focused about it. I just want to do the best I can every single time I'm in the car. And if that means that you break a record, okay, great. But it's more important that you're doing and achieving. At the end of the day, my goal this year is to win the championship. He was also asked which Grand Prix he considers his favourite. However, once again Verstappen opted to refer to his current team's success at the back-to-back constructors titles achieved with Red Bull. My first race win in Formula 1, I think that was pretty special, but also the races we are achieving now as a team, being that competitive, is honestly very enjoyable to be a part of. While Verstappen is enjoying one of the greatest individual periods of success in Formula 1 history, the 26-year-old is very aware of just how quickly that things can change. I'm not afraid of losing. I hate losing, but that's also a part of the game, he said. At the end of the day, you lose more than you win. I've lost a lot also before winning in Formula 1. I've been through the stage of not being able to win, and now that we are winning, you just have to enjoy the moment and enjoy it while it lasts. When asked what the key was to his recent championship runs, the Red Bull driver cited that his consistency as the biggest skill he bears over his rivals. You have to be very consistent over a season, he said, and you cannot really have off days and off weekends. You have to be on it all the time. That's not always easy to achieve. Sometimes weekends they start maybe a bit tougher for you, but that's how it is, and you try and get yourself out of a tough situation. Looking towards this weekend, Verstappen is also set to match his father-in-law, 2 nights, and Senna in Qatar, as Max Verstappen only needs a 6th place finish at the Qatar Sprint Race to seal a 3rd World Championship. The Qatar Grand Prix Sprint is Max Verstappen's first chance to wrap up his 3rd straight World Championship. He is 177 points clear of Sergio Perez with 180 left on the board for the rest of the championship season, meaning a 6th place finish on Sunday at Losail will be enough to ensure that the trophy stays on his top, his drinks fridge by his sim rig for another year. When Verstappen does win the title, he will become the 11th driver to win 3 or more titles and the 6th to be a triple world champion. On the current list of those he can match, it includes his father-in-law, as well as Sir Jackie Stewart and Ayrton Senna. Not bad company at all then. Currently also on that list is Niki Lauda, Nelson Piquet, of course, which is his father-in-law, and Sir Jack Brabham, who are all triple world champions. Of course, some drivers have gone beyond the magical 3-time threshold, and interestingly, they all have but one. Of course, some drivers have gone beyond the magical 3-time threshold, and interestingly, they all but one have something in common with Verstappen. The drivers listed below, with the exception of Alain Prost, have all won 3 or more titles in a row, with Michael Schumacher's 5 with Ferrari the all-time record. Of course, there's 7 titles with Schumacher, Hamilton with 7, Fangio with 5, Prost with 4, and Vettel with 4 as well. Vettel, of course, doing them all consecutively with 4. Very, very interesting to see what Max Verstappen is doing at the moment in Formula 1. We'll see if he can continue his winning streak in Formula 1 next year in 2024 to continue that consecutive run of championship titles. But this year he has gone pretty much unchecked this entire season. Glad to see in the past few races at least a few more people at least challenging him in the past few races, well, in qualifying at least, not in the races, but we'll have to wait and see what he's able to do throughout the rest of the season. He could, of course, as we've said in this article, take that championship win at the sprint race in Qatar, but should something happen, it could be relegated to the race on Sunday, but we'll have to wait and see, of course, what does happen out in Qatar. Moving on, though, now to a little bit of an update with the 2026 rules. Formula One's 2026 rule details emerge, with smaller cars and 40% less downforce. New information about the 2026 Formula 1 regulations have emerged, with plans to take the cars significantly smaller and lighter. 2026 is fast approaching, with the regulations still yet to be formally finalized. However, a report by a reputable German publication Auto Motor und Sport has shed light on changes on the chassis side. So far, a lot of the information in the public sphere has been around the new engines. Formula One's new engine regulation change will take place in 2026, and it seems that Formula One plans have appeased the manufacturers, with Mercedes, Ferrari, Renault, Honda, Red Bull and Audi all set to be on the grid. With the automotive industry centered around electric power, it is no surprise to see that the MG UK unit will now be 3 times more powerful than before, moving up from a 120 kilowatt motor to a 350 kilowatt motor generator. On a similar note, the MGU-H has been removed completely for the 2026 rules, allowing for a reduction in costs. They will be run on 100% sustainable fuels, with there being a clear 50-50 split between internal combustion engines and electrical power. Finally, the aim is only for 70 kilograms of fuel in 2026, rather than the 100 kilograms that is currently used in Formula 1. Outlined in the report, the FIA are also heavily focused on making the cars lighter, but also smaller. The current Formula 1 cars weigh an astonishing 798 kilograms, with the new engines and countermeasures expected to take it well above 800. The first step is to reduce the weight by at least 20 kilograms before looking at reducing it further into the regulation cycle. Other changes include the width of the car, reducing to 190 centimeters from 200 centimeters. The wheelbase will also be shortened to at least 340 centimeters, which is currently set at 360 centimeters. Consequently, there will be a 40% loss in downforce from these changes. But of course, as fans, we want to see a reduction in the size of these cars, as well as a reduction in the weight of these cars. This increases the drivability of the cars by the drivers, as well as it increases the competitiveness of these cars and raceability of these cars, which is of course what we want to see as drivers, well, as fans, and I'm sure all of the drivers will also be wanting to have the increased raceability of these cars, because we want to see closer racing between all of the teams. And I think a reduction of aerodynamic efficiency by 40% should also throw a little bit of a span in the works to teams at least, and puts a bit more the drivability and the handling in the hands of the driver, and really makes it down to skill as to who does fight at the top. And I think that could really make things a lot more interesting for the spectacle of Formula One. Certainly very, very interesting to see all of these regulation changes and a lot more reports coming out now speaking about it. Hopefully we'll be given a lot more clarification in the upcoming weeks and months by the FIA. But when that does come out, we will be sure to let you know as soon as possible. But thank you very much, though, for joining me here today on Forever Motorsports. It's been quite a lot of news that we have gone through here today. And yeah, thank you to Orville Clisby and Mark Spox there in the comment section for keeping me company as we just look at that poll that was set out there. Who do you think Andretti will choose to drive for them in 2025 or 2026? 50% going for Jamie Chadwick. I'd certainly love to have Jamie Chadwick in the sport. Another female Formula One driver would certainly be a great addition on the Formula One grid. Valtteri Bottas with 25% and another 25% going for other. I don't see anyone letting me know in the comment section. Oh, there I see Mark saying Mick, damn it. So yeah, we know who Mark is, of course, rooting for there. But nonetheless, thank you very much for joining me here today. I've been Reece here on Forever Motorsports. Please do be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also do be sure to hit that notification bell to be notified every time we go live and upload a video for you guys. Thank you very much for watching. Cheers. Welcome to the Losail International Circuit, home to the Qatar Grand Prix. The Losail International Circuit is a renowned motorsport venue located in the desert landscape of the Losail region. This state-of-the-art circuit is primarily known for hosting Moto GP events and made its debut on the Formula One calendar in 2021. The maiden edition of the Qatar Grand Prix was held on November 21st, 2021, substituting for the cancelled Australian Grand Prix that year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The race saw Lewis Hamilton emerge victorious for Mercedes, securing the top spot on the podium, followed by Red Bull's Max Verstappen and Fernando Alonso's Alpine. The 5.4-kilometer Losail circuit has been completely resurfaced since 2021, with a new pit and paddock complex. The circuit is fast and flowing with 16 medium and high-speed corners, as well as no heavy braking zones throughout the track. The main straight is more than 1 kilometer long, which should provide some great overtakes in the sprint race and in the race on Sunday. Watch now as you get taken around a lap of the Losail International Circuit. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more Formula One content, and do be sure to join us for our coverage of the Qatar Grand Prix. Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. My name is Reece. I'll be talking to you a little bit today about one of our channel partners, Bitdefender. Bitdefender is a global leader in cyber security. Bitdefender is committed to defending people all around the globe against cyber attacks, as well as to transform people's digital experiences. In the next 6 months, Forever Sports will be covering major tournaments such as the Rugby Championship, the Premier League, the remainder of the Formula One season, as well as embarking on the biggest Rugby World Cup YouTube campaign ever. To ensure that these are all a success, it is imperative that the Forever Sports channels and platforms remain uncompromised. And with Bitdefender, we can be assured that our cybersecurity needs are being taken care of. To read more on Bitdefender, please be sure to check the links in the description of our video. Once again, thank you very much to our partner, Bitdefender, for joining the channel. I've been Reece here on Forever Sports. Thank you very much. Hello and welcome to Forever Motorsports, and welcome to another daily Formula One news video. A lot to talk about, of course, with our title here today. McLaren sue their driver for $23 million. The Formula One team McLaren are suing their driver Alex Palou, a hopeful Formula One driver and IndyCar champion, for over $23 million after the Spanish driver backed out over his contract with the motorsport giant. According to the September 29th filing in the High Court of the Justice, Business and Property Courts of England and Wales, Palou has no outstanding obligation under any contract or agreement that would stop him from joining McLaren at the end of the IndyCar season. Palou won the season's IndyCar title by 78 points by his second time in 3 seasons. But McLaren told McLaren this summer that he wouldn't be joining them, sparking a legal battle. The 26-year-old already had been embroiled in one contract battle concerning an agreement to leave Chip Ganassi Racing a year early to join McLaren as an IndyCar and reserve Formula One driver, but before a mediation agreement left him able to race for Chip Ganassi Racing, but test for McLaren this year. Palou said about his departure from McLaren, "I agree, it is sad," Palou told NBC last month. "I've always tried to be a nice person and I always thought I was doing the right things. That's how my family taught me how to do stuff, and then suddenly I look like I do everything wrong, that I don't listen and that I just do whatever I feel like on that day." The money McLaren are seeking is reportedly linked to the sponsorship that they had anticipated to bring in, tied to his involvement with the team, as well as the costs involved in developing him for an F1 seat and an advance on his 2024 salary. In a letter sent to the Arrows Racing employees in August, CEO Zak Brown said Palou has no intention of honouring his contract with the Arrow McLaren team for the 2024 season and beyond. "This is incredibly disappointing considering the commitment we have made with him and he has made with us directly and publicly, and the significant investment we have put into him based on that commitment. We've decided and dedicated a lot of money and resources in preparing to welcome Alex into our team because we believed in him, and we were looking forward to achieving IndyCar victories with him. This is certainly sad that Alex Palou has decided to cut ties with McLaren and didn't decide to pursue that career, of course, as a Formula One reserve driver with them, as well as heading up their IndyCar team. Yeah, certainly McLaren feel that they are right in their fact that they are pursuing a legal stance against him and trying to recuperate all of that money that they feel they've lost from losing that signing with him. Certainly, yeah, very, very interesting to see there. F1 23 saying, "This is crazy." It certainly is. I mean, that's a lot of money to sue a driver for. Of course, Alex Palou, in his own right, should be making quite a lot of money from these deals. But as a team, you don't necessarily anticipate a driver signing with you and then 2-3 months later backing out of that agreement. So they certainly feel that they are justified in the way that they are going about all of this. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see what the outcome of this are, as well as we're still waiting to see what the outcome of that legal disagreement or legal proceedings with Felipe Massa are. Moving on to the next article though, speaking about Lando Norris. Lando Norris reiterates commitment to McLaren amid Formula One speculation. So with one driver having left the McLaren team, we have another one still saying that he is firmly sticking with them for now. Lando Norris is signed to McLaren for another 2 seasons, but has been linked with a move elsewhere on the grid. Lando Norris has though reaffirmed his commitment to McLaren amid speculation that he could seek a move elsewhere in the future. Norris is currently contracted to the Woking-based squad until the end of the 2025 Formula One campaign, with McLaren having been Norris's home since the Briton made his debut in 2019, and the duo have enjoyed moderate success together, with Norris scoring his 10th Formula One podium last time out in Japan. Earlier this year, Norris sprouted speculation that he could leave McLaren after admitting he would be open to partnering Max Verstappen in Formula One. Due to Verstappen's current Red Bull dealing and his deal extending to the end of 2028, it would be likely that Norris would have to leave McLaren for the Milton Keynes outfit. "I would want to win with McLaren," he says though, but Norris says that he's focused on finding success with McLaren going forward rather than jumping ship to a new team. "There are always things every now and then," he told media. "I would love to talk about a new McLaren deal. I've always said I want to win with McLaren. I think we're getting closer and closer to achieving that as well. And we're not just winning races, but winning championships with both driver and constructor. I want to do it with McLaren, and I'm very, very happy here. So if I was to spend 10 or 15 years there, I'm not ever going to say no. I think that's something I would look forward to, but I'm very much just concentrated on this year, next year, and 2025, when his contract does end. I think that's 2.5 years to try and progress, and we'll see then. But things crop up every now and then, but nothing more than that. Certainly, Lando Norris has really been bringing the team up. They've made massive gains in the last few years. Certainly this year, they weren't looking like they were competitive at the beginning of the season, but they've just really been able to develop that car in the right way, and they've been able to challenge for podiums, challenge for wins at some tracks. I mean, Singapore, they got so close with the Ferraris, of course, not being able to challenge with Carlos Sainz there, unfortunately, but still having a great race there to secure a second place podium finish. And once again, having another, well, not even just a podium finish in Japan, they had a double podium finish in Japan. So once again, phenomenal for the working-based outfit. They certainly are doing really well with Lando Norris, and they'll be wanting to hold on to him for the future. But if they're not able to put pen to paper quite soon, I think the likes of Red Bull are going to look to steal him away, because they have really been looking for him in the past few years. They tried to get him to put pen to paper a few years ago. Unfortunately, McLaren quickly swooped Lando Norris away again with another contract extension. But Red Bull are certainly not going to want to make that mistake again now, seeing how competitive he's been so far this year. And yeah, he's been really doing quite well. Of course, Oscar Piastri has also been doing quite well at the moment. He's extended his contract as well to 2026. But yeah, I think they've got a really strong driver lineup in that team. Disappointing that they've lost that strong reserve driver of Alex Palou. He could have also been a great driver for the future, but unfortunate that he has gone and signed away from his McLaren deal. Moving on though now to Aston Martin, we have a few articles speaking about them, and we'll move on to this first one. Aston Martin's Le Mans plan can solve its Formula One driver issues. Aston Martin's commitment to a top-level sports car racing program that will utilize technology campus of its Formula One team offers a potentially neat solution for that very F1 team. There's no initial word on who will drive its Valkyrie AMR Pro at the Le Mans 24-hour in the World Endurance Championship at the IMSA Series in the United States, but one of the seats could be a convenient soft landing for current Aston Martin driver Lance Stroll. As the son of Aston Martin chairman Lawrence Stroll, Lance is unlikely to be hurried out of the exit door at the Formula One team anytime soon. But the reality of Formula One means that Stroll's seat could be permanently guaranteed, just because it is part of his father's project. Formula One is meant to be a meritocracy. Aston Martin has grand ambitions, and it has produced a very capable car this season. It is one of the top 10 best teams in Formula One, and there's no good performance-based argument for Stroll to take up one of those seats right now. Being overhauled by McLaren's rookie driver Oscar Piastri in the points after the Japanese Grand Prix means Stroll is now the worst performing driver of the top 5 teams in the championship, and is in danger of not even finishing in the top 10 in the Drivers' Championship, of course, which, as an aside, would mark his best finish in Formula One. That's embarrassing. Team leader and double world champion Fernando Alonso is an almighty benchmark for any driver, but Lance Stroll has measured up poorly. Even factoring in his injury at the start of the season and the bad luck that he has definitely intervened at times this year, his qualifying performances have not been good enough, often setting him up for more difficult Sundays, and his points fall short, costing Aston Martin anywhere from 1 to 3 places in the Constructors' Championship. It is clear in Aston Martin's interest to replace Stroll with a driver who can produce a higher output would be necessary. Maybe there is now a path to doing that. Stroll would be a very good driver to have in the mix for a fully fledged Aston Martin Works program outside of Formula One, as he has plenty of detractors, but he is also clearly talented. Regardless of the privileged opportunities afforded, you don't win junior categories, score a podium in your rookie season, produce somewhat star-wet weather qualifying performances, and consistently shows superb instinct, racing other cars on opening laps without having some innate ability. There have been some question marks over his commitment, whether he really wants to be in Formula 1, and how much he actually cares about this since his first season. Such speculation can be quite unfair. Who knows really what Stroll's motivation is and how dedicated he is to being a Formula 1 driver. But there must be some underlying devotion to the craft. If you ever think about him talking passionately about safety standards in karting or in junior categories, you would not accuse him of not caring about racing. And to do what he did at the start of the year, racing so soon, after what was clearly a severe set of injuries, took serious determination, not just to compete, but to perform in a way that took to be his most impressive display in Formula 1. Being a good driver who likes racing isn't enough, though, to be at the top of Formula 1. Because what Stroll isn't is a world beater. And he's not showing any signs that he will become one. At 24, he has time on his side. Only 6 drivers have raced in Formula 1 that are younger this year. But his early arrival means he has been around for quite some time. He is not a third or fourth year with some rough edges to smoothen out. He's a 7th year driver, and in terms of numbers of starts, he's the 10th most experienced driver on the grid right now. It is not impossible, but this year so far in his Formula 1 career, it seems unlikely that he is going to make some kind of step that turns into anything more than a lower midfield driver capable of some high peaks. Stroll certainly yet to show that he can be Aston Martin's equivalent of the young, exciting drivers that are underpinning so many rival projects, with the likes of Max Verstappen at Red Bull, Lando Norris at McLaren, Charles Leclerc at Ferrari, and George Russell at Mercedes. For a while though, he didn't need to be. Aston Martin's rapid progress meant that it already had outgrown what he offered. That's nothing to be sniffed at though. Even lesser performing Formula 1 drivers are very good racing drivers, and clearly he is not a hapless one. If he wanted to, and if it was viable given the familial ties that he has to Aston Martin, he could make a serviceable contribution to Formula 1 for longer or a lesser team. But this is not the caliber that fits Aston Martin's Formula 1 ambitions. Ultimately, drivers are not hounded out of Formula 1 if they are not good enough. Their time and options just expire. For Aston Martin to maximise its potential, it needs to explore other alternatives for a highly coveted seat. The awkward part, though, was that the family ties meant that Stroll was not a normal, underperforming second driver. Having a viable alternative in the family business is an obvious potential way around that. There will soon be a high-profile Aston Martin project where big wins and a chance to become world champion is in another discipline would surely appeal for Stroll, satisfying what desire he has to keep for racing and save face for all involved. Certainly a big topic here about Lance Stroll and Aston Martin. I mean, a lot of people have been calling for Lance Stroll to leave Formula 1 and give that seat to someone else. I'm going to ask all of you in the poll right now, do you want Lance Stroll to leave F1? Just fix my spelling there. And that's up live now, so you can all vote and let me know your opinions on what you think about Lance Stroll. Do you want him to leave? Do you think that he should go? And I'm going to talk to you now, of course, about that Aston Martin hypercar project that they are running for Le Mans. But do you think that Lance Stroll should pursue other opportunities and just go across to the Le Mans project, just leave Formula 1 alone? He's kind of lost his opportunity, unfortunately. He hasn't proven himself at all. He really just needs to kind of make things a bit better for himself by maybe stepping out of Formula 1 and maybe saving face, as the article says, of course. But yeah, we'll move on though to that article now about Aston Martin's hypercar project. Here it is. Now, Aston Martin confirmed a hypercar project as Aston Martin will take to the forefront of sports car racing as it confirms its Valkyrie entry. Aston Martin has confirmed that it will contest the 2025 World Endurance Championship and WeatherTech Sports Car Championships with the Valkyrie Le Mans Hypercar project. The British manufacturer expanded into Formula 1 in 2021, after competing in World Endurance Championship for several years in the GT categories. However, now will step into the highest level of motorsport racing by fielding a hypercar which will compete at the 24-hour of Le Mans. The Valkyrie, which is a road car version, was designed by Red Bull Chief Technical Officer Adrian Newey. The project will be backed by Aston Martin's championship winning endurance racing partner Heart of Racing. Performance is the lifeblood of everything that we do at Aston Martin, and motorsport is the ultimate expression of this pursuit of excellence, said Lawrence Stroll, chairman of Aston Martin. We've been present at Le Mans since the earliest days, and through these glorious endeavours, we succeed in winning Le Mans in 1959, and our class 19 times over the past 95 years. Now we return to the scene of the first triumphs, aiming to write new history with a racing prototype, inspired by the fastest production car Aston Martin has ever built. Certainly very exciting to see that Aston Martin are venturing into the Le Mans hypercar project and hypercar category with their Valkyrie project. It's going to be very interesting to see whether they're going to be competitive. Whether we'll see Aston Martin just getting rid of Lance Stroll, pushing him into that hypercar project, we'll have to wait and see. I think that would be maybe a bit of a better option to do with Lance Stroll. He hasn't been anything spectacular, unfortunately, in Formula 1 since his debut. He's had a few standout moments, but nothing necessarily too crazy that we can think of over the years. And it's disappointing because he had a great junior category career, but it really did not carry over that momentum into Formula 1, as I think there's just too much competition, and he might just be better suited to another category in some other form of motorsport. And his dad has another team in Le Mans, so why not pursue that instead? Moving over to one more article about Aston Martin here, as Aston Martin accepts their Formula 1 rivals did a stronger job developing their 2023 cars. Aston Martin has said it has had to accept that their Formula 1 rival teams did a stronger job in the 2023 development, as it continues to slip back in 2023. Aston Martin came flying out of the gates in Bahrain, with its lead driver Fernando Alonso racking up 5 podiums in the first 5 races. But over the summer, the ongoing got tougher for the Silverstone squad, with it especially slipping back on mixed corner circuits, where aerodynamic efficiency comes at a premium, as Alonso was restricted to just one more podium in the last 8 races. In the meantime, it has also lost touch with Mercedes in the constructors' table, and is instead looking over its shoulder at the resurgent McLaren team. Aston Martin's performance director Tom McCullough admitted that the team has not developed as strongly as it hoped, and that rival teams who started the season on the back foot have done a better job of catching up. There are definitely some teams at the start of the year who were underperforming, he said, who were taking a step back. We knew that they'd get back on top of that, most notably McLaren and Mercedes. At the start of the year, we were a little bit surprised to be second or third We were a little bit surprised to be the second or third fastest team, but the margins between the second, third and fourth fastest teams were always very small. And we were always aware that it doesn't take much to fall to the back of the pack. And then just from the pure development race, bringing bits to the car, making the car quicker, it was a relative game. Some teams have been doing a stronger job than we have. We have to accept that. We obviously hoped to develop the car stronger than we've ended up developing so far. The team has also repeatedly stated that technical directives introduced in Singapore were not a contributing factor in its downturn in form. But the squad now feels it has a good understanding of its weaknesses, so it can deliver a 2024 car that is more efficient and can be more competitive on circuits that combine several downforce requirements with straight line speed and low speed handling. The technical directives that was introduced in Singapore has had no impact on our performance. I don't think they're significant. For us, it's more track characteristics and base development race that we're sort of fighting with. There are certain characteristics of our car that we understood right from the first test and race, the strengths and weaknesses of the car, and we've been trying to address those areas that we're not as competitive in. Our job is to try and make the car quick on all 23 circuits, and we've still got plenty of work to do for that. Aerodynamically, we've had a good understanding of how the car's performing through the ride height and speed ranges. And we know areas that we want to improve in, so that process is ongoing, and we still have a few more bits coming this year to help with that understanding. Aston particularly struggled in Japan, where Alonso battled to 8th place, 1 minute and 14 seconds behind the winner Max Verstappen, and teammate Lance Stroll retiring with a broken rear wing. But the team is expecting its form to pick up this weekend in the race in Qatar, as Losail's high downforce circuit doesn't emphasize aerodynamic efficiency as much as Suzuka did. Qatar is quite different in the way that it's predominantly high-speed corners, and the efficiency of the cars are not as important, so you'll be up on the rear wing level, McCullough explained. One of the things we were struggling with in Japan is being competitive in both high-speed corners and low-speed corners, as well in the straight lines. Qatar is very different in that aspect. Yes, there are cars that are faster in high-speed corners, so they'll be fast, but hopefully we can be a bit more competitive. Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. My name is Reece. I'll be talking to you a little bit today about one of our channel partners, Bitdefender. Bitdefender is a global leader in cyber security. Bitdefender is committed to defending people all around the globe against cyber attacks, as well as to transform people's digital experiences. In the next 6 months, Forever Sports will be covering major tournaments such as the Rugby Championship, the Premier League, the remainder of the Formula 1 season, as well as embarking on the biggest Rugby World Cup YouTube campaign ever. To ensure that these are all a success, it is imperative that the Forever Sports channels and platforms remain uncompromised. And with Bitdefender, we can be assured that our cybersecurity needs are being taken care of. To read more on Bitdefender, please be sure to check the links in the description of our video. Once again, thank you very much to our partner, Bitdefender, for joining the channel. I've been Reece here on Forever Sports. Thank you very much. We're certainly hoping to see the Aston Martins becoming a little bit more competitive. They seem to have fallen back in the last couple of races after the summer break. As this article has gone and said, it's been a bit disappointing because off the back of the first half of the season, we were really hoping that they would be able to continue that momentum going into the second half of the season and really continue to fight with the Mercedes in terms of the Constructors' Championship. They were all fighting for second place, and Mercedes has now pretty comfortably taken that away from them. It's disappointing, but it is what happens in Formula 1. The development game is just so competitive, especially in the second half of the season, where possibly some teams are coming up on their cost cap limit. Other teams have been a little bit more careful, a little bit more wary of spending all of those cost cap budgets and where to spend those budgets. But we're seeing that these teams are just having to learn how to use their development game and where to plan it for the rest of the season. It's certainly helping with a 23 race season. We're getting a bit of a trial run this year for a lot of the teams so that they know when to bring different development upgrades for the next season and which tracks are more important to bring upgrades for. I'm sure that they will all be learning a lot more about that now. But yeah, very interesting here for the wrap up of today's show. Just having a look there in the comment section one more time at that poll for Lance Stroll. 75% now saying that they would like Lance Stroll to leave Formula 1, as we have a whole bunch of you guys in the chat and the stream at the moment. Please do be sure to drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from. Always great to have so many of you watching. But yes, thank you very much. That has been it for me here today with all of the Formula 1 and motorsport news on Forever Motorsport. Please do be sure to stick around. We'll be taking you straight through to our Formula 1 stream for tomorrow, so you can go and like that video and you can click the notification button there so you'll be notified when we do go live for the FP1 session for Formula 1 tomorrow. Of course, it is a race weekend and we have the Qatar Grand Prix taking place. We have free practice 1 tomorrow. I think it's at 12:30 our time. And then there is, of course, qualifying for the race on Sunday as well tomorrow afternoon. Then there's the sprint qualifying on Saturday morning, the sprint race on Saturday afternoon. And then, of course, on Sunday, the main event, the race there in Qatar. But that has been it from me here today. Thank you very much for watching. Cheers. Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. My name is Reece. I'll be talking to you a little bit today about one of our channel partners, Bitdefender. Bitdefender is a global leader in cyber security. Bitdefender is committed to defending people all around the globe against cyber attacks, as well as to transform people's digital experiences. In the next 6 months, Forever Sports will be covering major tournaments such as the Rugby Championship, the Premier League, the remainder of the Formula 1 season, as well as embarking on the biggest Rugby World Cup YouTube campaign ever. To ensure that these are all a success, it is imperative that the Forever Sports channels and platforms remain uncompromised. And with Bitdefender, we can be assured that our cybersecurity needs are being taken care of. To read more on Bitdefender, please be sure to check the links in the description of our video. Once again, thank you very much to our partner, Bitdefender, for joining the channel. I've been Reece here on Forever Sports. Thank you very much. Qatar Grand Prix Sprint is Max Verstappen's first chance to wrap up his third straight World Championship. He has 177 points clear of Sergio Perez with 180 left on the board for the rest of the championship season, meaning a 6th place finish on Sunday at Losail will be enough to ensure that the trophy stays on top his drinks fridge by his sim rig for another year. When Verstappen does win the title, he will become the 11th driver to win 3 or more titles and the 6th to be a triple world champion. On the current list of those he can match, it includes his father-in-law as well as Sir Jackie Stewart and Ayrton Senna. Not bad company at all then. Of course, some drivers have gone beyond the magical 3-time threshold, and interestingly, they all but one have something in common with Verstappen. The drivers listed below, with the exception of Alain Prost, have all won 3 or more titles in a row, with Michael Schumacher's 5 with Ferrari the all-time record. Of course, there's 7 titles with Schumacher, Hamilton with 7, Fangio with 5, Prost with 4, and Vettel with 4 as well. Interesting to see what Max Verstappen is doing at the moment in Formula 1. We'll see if he can continue his winning streak in Formula 1 next year in 2024 to continue that consecutive run of championship titles. But this year he has gone pretty much unchecked this entire season. Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. My name is Reece. I'll be talking to you a little bit today about one of our channel partners, Bitdefender. Bitdefender is a global leader in cyber security. Bitdefender is committed to defending people all around the globe against cyber attacks, as well as to transform people's digital experiences. In the next 6 months, Forever Sports will be covering major tournaments such as the Rugby Championship, the Premier League, the remainder of the Formula 1 season, as well as embarking on the biggest Rugby World Cup YouTube campaign ever. To ensure that these are all a success, it is imperative that the Forever Sports channels and platforms remain uncompromised. And with Bitdefender, we can be assured that our cybersecurity needs are being taken care of. To read more on Bitdefender, please be sure to check the links in the description of our video. Once again, thank you very much to our partner, Bitdefender, for joining the channel. I've been Reece here on Forever Sports. Thank you very much. This is a major talking point which we've been talking about in the last coming weeks and months. There's been a lot of videos on this channel speaking about it. And now the FIA have officially approved the Andretti Cadillac team's bid for a new team to join the Formula 1 grid. A new team could be joining Formula 1 in the near future after the governing body has approved one applicant following a rigorous process. The FIA has granted approval for a new team to join Formula 1, opening the potential for the grid to expand beyond 20 cars. Following months of deliberation, the application of Andretti Formula Racing has been approved after a comprehensive application process. Earlier this year, the FIA opened the formal applications process for new teams to join the Formula 1 grid as early as 2025. 1 year before the new technical regulations come into play. Formula 1 has existed with 10 teams since the 2017 season, with Haas being the last squad to set up in the paddock. Last year, Andretti Global announced its plans to join Formula 1 in the future and confirmed a tie-up with Cadillac in January, which would see a major car brand arrive on the grid with it should it be successful. Andretti fields successful teams in the NTT IndyCar series as well as the all-electric Formula E category. As part of its increased investment into motorsport, Andretti showcased plans to build a brand new racing headquarters in Fishers, Indiana. This established their progress along with 3 other applicants to phase 2 of the process, which assessed them on their sporting and technical capabilities. The ability of the team to raise and maintain sufficient funding to allow participation in the championship at a competitive level, and the team's experience and human resources. With the FIA's approval, a decision now must be made by Formula 1 itself, with the governing body confirming that its findings have been passed on to the Formula 1 management for commercial discussions. Andretti have been reportedly the only team to fulfill the selected criteria. FIA President Mohammed bin Sulayem said, "The FIA was very clear in establishing stringent criteria for their entry from the outset of the expressions on interest procedure. Our objective after rigorous due diligence during the application process was to only approve prospective entries which satisfied the set criteria and illustrated that they would add value to the sport. The FIA is obliged to approve applications that comply with the expressions of interest application requirements, and we have adhered to the procedure in deciding that Andretti Formula Racing LLC's application would proceed to the next stage of that application process. In taking that decision, the FIA is acting in accordance with EU directives on motorsport participation and development. Andretti Formula Racing was the only entity which fulfills the selection criteria that was set in all material aspects. and congratulate Michael Andretti and his team on a thorough submission. I also want to thank all prospective teams for their interest and participation. The expressions of interest process builds up on positive acceptance of the FIA's 2026 Formula 1 power unit regulations among existing OEMs, which has already attracted further commitment from Audi, Honda and Ford, and interest from Porsche and General Motors. I would like to thank all of the FIA team members involved in the expressions of interest process for their tireless efforts ensuring a diligent assessment of the FIA team applications received. So, very exciting to see that the FIA has approved Andretti's bid to join Formula 1 in 2025. Whether Formula 1 management will approve that, though, we will have to wait and see. There's a lot that does now have to happen before they can be admitted onto the Formula 1 grid. The Concord agreement with all of the teams would have to be redrawn because, of course, the teams don't really want their funds diluted with a new team being brought into the sport. It's also been rumoured that a new team would have to pay a dilution fee of about, I think it's $200 million a year to not allow the rest of the teams to lose any money from the winnings pot at the end of the season. So it's really a lot of politics that are still involved, a lot of behind the scenes talking and as I said, politics still with the FIA and Formula 1 group. Liberty Media might still not be all too happy to admit another team onto the Formula 1 grid. We'll have to wait and see what does happen. The Alpine Formula 1 CEO reveals his plan to fix a huge amount of internal issues. The Alpine CEO, Luca Di Maio, has outlined a clear plan to address significant problems within his Formula 1 team. The French outfit began the latest regulation changes in a reasonable fashion last year, establishing themselves as the best of the rest. Despite reliability presenting itself as a clear weakness, Alpine had a strong foundation to build upon for 2023. However, the team's aspirations to fight at the front failed to materialize over the winter break. From day one in pre-season, the A523 proved to be relatively uncompetitive, despite the quiet confidence shown by Otmar Safnauer in interviews. There were few signs that Alpine would be world beaters in Bahrain. Pierre Gasly's P9 finish was a strong recovery from qualifying, validating the early consensus. Still, later events in Australia and Miami provided some optimism for the team, and that they could pull themselves somehow up the field. Under certain conditions, the French team was capable of giving the likes of Aston Martin something to worry about. Although a fantastic weekend in Monaco provided further encouragement, the A523 has shown little promise since then. Whilst the car is relatively compliant in terms of handling, it lacks the performance to compete for major honours, with Ocon and Gasly having both managed exceptional podiums in 2023, but these have been anomalies in the results. Furthermore, the mid-season development at McLaren has served as a magnifying glass for the lack of progress at Enstone. However, despite the reality of Alpine's situation, it was only 18 months ago that CEO Laurent Rossi outlined the team's 5-year plan. The team's high-ranking personnel all seemed convinced that this timeline was appropriate. Therefore, Alpine's pace this year shouldn't have triggered any significant alarm within the squad, at least in theory. As the first races were completed, however, internal frustrations soon began to surface. Laurent Rossi began the 2023 campaign with a series of criticisms towards the team. The Frenchman then listed a variety of grievances, seemingly dissatisfied with the team's progress. In response, albeit via interactions with the media, team principal Otmar Safnauer made clear that success in Formula 1 cannot be rushed. Evidently, there were internal disagreements. Not too long after this exchange, during the Belgium Grand Prix weekend, the dismissal of Safnauer and Permain was announced. Whilst there were clear elements of confusion and uncertainty, one thing soon became clear. The widely discussed 5-year plan was no longer viable. Luca Di Maio and the other senior personnel at Alpine have set goals for more immediate success though. In a speech given at Enstone, broadcast in the factory as well in Vieri, Di Maio outlined a series of changes. A range of topics were discussed by the Renault CEO. Di Maio had made things clear that the old ways of thinking will no longer be tolerated in the team, and Alpine will be working towards a fresh approach and increased collaboration between the Enstone team and the Viral team as well, as previously there have been instances of clear division between the English and French departments in the team. An example of this tension takes place during race weekends, where the team's English and French personnel have been known to book separate hotels. At a constructor that manufactures its own engines, this lack of chemistry is detrimental. Alpine has received plenty of criticism for the unreliability of their engines as well, especially during the 2022 season. In addition to reliability, the French power unit provides less horsepower than Mercedes, Honda, or their Ferrari counterparts. However, it is no secret that Alpine has deficiencies in various areas. Excuses are also becoming increasingly difficult to accept in modern Formula One, as proven by Aston Martin and McLaren. Internal cohesion and innovation will be rewarded out on track. So really interesting to hear all of this coming out about Alpine this year. Well, I didn't necessarily know about all of these internal struggles and internal divisions between the team. And it's certainly very interesting to hear about the fact that the English department and the French department don't get along well. And for them to even book separate hotels is completely unheard of in Formula One. Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. My name is Reece. I'll be talking to you a little bit today about one of our channel partners, Bitdefender. Bitdefender is a global leader in cyber security. Bitdefender is committed to defending people all around the globe against cyber attacks, as well as to transform people's digital experiences. In the next 6 months, Forever Sports will be covering major tournaments such as the Rugby Championship, the Premier League, the remainder of the Formula One season, as well as embarking on the biggest Rugby World Cup YouTube campaign ever. To ensure that these are all a success, it is imperative that the Forever Sports channels and platforms remain uncompromised. And with Bitdefender, we can be assured that our cybersecurity needs are being taken care of. To read more on Bitdefender, please be sure to check the links in the description of our video. Once again, thank you very much to our partner, Bitdefender, for joining the channel. I've been Reece here on Forever Sports. Thank you very much. Hello and welcome to the second session that we're doing here today for the review of the Qatar Grand Prix FP1. So what a session that was. Certainly a very interesting one there, with Max Verstappen topping the leaderboard out in the session. We saw though, as drivers made their way around the track for the first session, it was really quite dusty out there on circuit, and they really struggled for lap time until the track really started to evolve in the last few hours of light out in Qatar at this Losail international circuit. It's been a very interesting session, of course, with, as I said, Max Verstappen taking that top spot on a set of on a set of softs with a 1:27.428. Something that was really catching out all the drivers though around this circuit will certainly be track limits, and it's something that we're going to have to look at for this session this evening, with, of course, the track limits going to make a massive difference in the qualifying, of course, as I say, later this evening. It's going to be quite difficult for drivers. We had a lot of wind gusts that were pushing over the track limits, and if you go over the track limits, you're going to have your track time deleted, so you have to be quite careful with that though. To make our way through the top 20, we had Max Verstappen finishing in P1, Carlos Sainz in P2, Charles Leclerc then in P3. Fernando Alonso made his way into P4, with Sergio Perez finishing quite a bit behind his teammate in P5 with a 1:28.017. Max Verstappen, of course, with a 1:27.4. We then had Yuki Tsunoda in P6, Nico Hülkenberg P7th, Russell in 8th, Piastri 9th, Lando Norris finishing in 10th, behind his teammate, Piastri having a great day out here in Qatar. Then we had Sargent in P11 ahead of his teammate, Alex Albon, Lewis Hamilton 13th, Stroll in 14th, Esteban Ocon in 15th, Pierre Gasly in 16th, Bottas in 17th, Zhou in 18th, and Lawson 19th, with Kevin Magnussen all the way at the bottom of the grid down in P20. Well, it was a very interesting session, and yeah, we certainly are looking forward to this qualifying session later this evening. I think that we have a very competitive Mercedes car, especially for the race on Sunday. Their car was looking extremely fast on the set of soft, or not set of softs, the set of hards that they ran for the majority of the session while it was still sunny out here. Of course, it's difficult to know if you can take what you saw in this FP1 session seriously, because all of our sessions that are going to be taking place throughout the rest of this race weekend are going to be at night. of course, the sprint shootout tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon will be around the same time as this. But yeah, you can't really take what you're going to see that we saw in these free practice 1 sessions into the race, because the temperature is going to be so much lower. The degradation is going to be so much lower. And I think we're going to see some really competitive Mercedes, maybe some competitive Ferraris, as they now have gotten to the bottom of their degradation issues on Ferrari. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see what does happen. That has been it from me, though, here. Very, very exciting to get ahead of this qualifying session later this evening. I'm certainly hoping that all of you will join us for that session, and we really are excited to seeing you there. But that has been it from me here on Forever Motorsports. We're going to take you to our build-up package now ahead of the qualifying session here in Qatar. Do be sure to stick around, and we will see you in about just under 2 hours' time. Very excited to get going for that, but thanks again for watching here with me. I've been Reece. Cheers. Yes, and we are going to start this review session now of the Qatar Grand Prix qualifying, and what a session it was. Quite competitive there near the end, but Max Verstappen once again in a league of his own on a weekend where he can take the World Championship in the sprint race tomorrow afternoon.
Yes, of course. So this qualifying session is for Sunday's race. We'll have the sprint shootout for that sprint race tomorrow as well, so be sure to join us on the channel for that. Going through our top 10 from Q3 there that we've just finished there. Max Verstappen tops at a 123.7. Norris in second. Russell third. Piastri fourth. Hamilton fifth. Alonso sixth. All Mercedes-powered cars from 2 to 6. Then Leclerc and the Ferrari in 7th. Gasly in 8th, Ocon 9th, and Bottas in 10. Our bottom 10, Reece.
Our bottom 10 then, Mark, are made up of Yuki Tsunoda, Carlos Sainz in P12. Sergio Perez not having a great day at all. I think he had his last lap time deleted as well to even make his day just that little bit worse. Alex Albon finishes in P14. Not the greatest qualifying session we've seen from him at a high-speed track. But nonetheless, he's down in P14, Hülkenberg P15, Logan Sargent 16th, Stroll in 17th, Lawson 18th, Magnussen on his birthday down in P19, and Zhou Guanyu all the way down in P20.
Indeed, and yeah, so we've got a bit of news from that session. We'll go through it, of course, but Q1 finished with the bottom 5 being Zhou, Magnussen, Lawson, Stroll, and Sargent. Those were the ones eliminated. Now, when Stroll got out of his car, yeah, there were a bit of arguments had with his trainer as he got out. He got out in a very infuriating manner. His trainer was pointing at him like this. He more or less pushes his trainer aside, goes around the back. His trainer keeps following him, and then we see just at the edge of the camera angle, literally shoves his trainer out the way, goes and does an interview, swears in his interview, one-word answers in an interview. Not a happy man in that Aston Martin car. So really, really big problems there for Aston Martin and Lance Stroll. With regards to what happened in today's session. Of course, that's the opposite to his fellow teammate, who finished up in 6th and is looking relatively happy about the day.
Yes, just speaking about those top 5 finishes there, Lando Norris having a great day out there, still not able to match that time of Max Verstappen's with a 123.778 here. Still quite far off, though, of the track lap record around the circuit, being a 120 point something set by Lewis Hamilton in 2021, the inaugural race around here. Yeah, Lando Norris having a good day, though, nonetheless. George Russell in that other Mercedes-powered car down in P3. Piastri in P4. Brilliant day for him. Hamilton in P5. He wasn't able to improve on his lap time. He was looking like he could have been able to take pole. In Q2, he set the fastest time in that session. But yeah, disappointing there for him. We saw the replay as to why he wasn't able to improve on his lap time. In the first sector, he had a massive snap of oversteer, possibly caused by a gust of wind. Yeah, disappointing for him, but he gets outperformed by his teammate once again for a race weekend. Looking at our poll that we ran here at the end of the session, who will top Q3? And you guys all said
Verstappen, and indeed you were correct. Hamilton got 29% of the votes. He only finished in 4th, and Norris, of course.
No, Lando Norris has had his lap time deleted for track limits at turn 10. This has just come through now. Lando Norris has had his lap time deleted. He will start from P10.
Oh,
that's horrific for Lando Norris.
So now we have Russell on the front of the grid next to Verstappen. Sorry, that's just come in now as we're doing this. So Verstappen first, Russell second, Piastri third, Hamilton fourth, Alonso fifth. So we're going to see Norris down in 10th. Very, very unfortunate for him. And he was going to get interviewed, but then they had to pretty much shove him away because
he's still there waiting. He's about to be told. He's just been told.
No, that's Piastri.
No, that's Lando Norris there sitting. He's just been told by the FIA
yes, indeed. No,
person that he's been eliminated for
Very,
his
very
for his track
unfortunate.
limits. That
Very
is so
unfortunate.
disappointing for Lando Norris. That would have been such an exciting race tomorrow. But now we have Oscar Piastri in the middle of those two Mercedes cars.
Yeah, indeed. So, very disappointing day for Ferrari as well. Charles Leclerc down in 6th and Sainz in 12th. They were really struggling with the wind, the car being pushed around a lot more than the rest, and also sand became a big thing. So, Q2, we did see Hamilton top the tables there, but in Q3, Max Verstappen, as he should, well, not as he should, but as he has always done this season, finishing up there in first. So, a great race we've got set for us on Sunday, although I think it will be a pretty much pointless race. Max Verstappen, he might well win the driver championship tomorrow in the sprint race, should he win that. Or otherwise, actually, there's not much that he has to do to try and get it. But nonetheless, we'll see what happens tomorrow. But, of course, on Sunday, who will come second, essentially, is going to be my question, because that is going to be very interesting for the driver championship. His teammate, Perez, all the way down in 13th. Lots of people querying whether or not he should be in that car seat still. Same as Lance Stroll, of course. Those are the big things we were talking about. So, nonetheless, it's great to have you guys all joining us here on Forever Motorsports. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Reece, any final comments from that session?
Well, just really looking forward to the sprint qualifying session tomorrow afternoon, as well as that sprint race as well. Well, that is also taking place tomorrow afternoon. Do be sure to join us for both of those sessions. It's going to be a very, very exciting race weekend. Welcome to the Losail International Circuit, home to the Qatar Grand Prix. The Losail International Circuit is a renowned motorsport venue located in the desert landscape of the Losail region. This state-of-the-art circuit is primarily known for hosting Moto GP events and made its debut on the Formula 1 calendar in 2021. The maiden edition of the Qatar Grand Prix was held on November 21st, 2021, substituting for the cancelled Australian Grand Prix that year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The race saw Lewis Hamilton emerge victorious for Mercedes, securing the top spot on the podium, followed by Red Bull's Max Verstappen and Fernando Alonso's Alpine. The 5.4-kilometer Losail circuit has been completely resurfaced since 2021, with a new pit and paddock complex. The circuit is fast and flowing with 16 medium and high-speed corners, as well as no heavy braking zones throughout the track. The main straight is more than 1 kilometer long, which should provide some great overtakes in the sprint race and in the race on Sunday. Watch now as you get taken around a lap of the Losail International Circuit. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more Formula 1 content, and do be sure to join us for our coverage of the Qatar Grand Prix. Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. My name is Reece. I'll be talking to you a little bit today about one of our channel partners, Bitdefender. Bitdefender is a global leader in cyber security. Bitdefender is committed to defending people all around the globe against cyber attacks, as well as to transform people's digital experiences. In the next 6 months, Forever Sports will be covering major tournaments such as the Rugby Championship, the Premier League, the remainder of the Formula 1 season, as well as embarking on the biggest Rugby World Cup YouTube campaign ever. To ensure that these are all a success, it is imperative that the Forever Sports channels and platforms remain uncompromised. And with Bitdefender, we can be assured that our cybersecurity needs are being taken care of. To read more on Bitdefender, please be sure to check the links in the description of our video. Once again, thank you very much to our partner, Bitdefender, for joining the channel. I've been Reece here on Forever Sports. Thank you very much. Hello and welcome to Forever Motorsports for another daily Formula 1 news video here on the Forever Motorsports channel. Do be sure to like the video and subscribe before we get underway here for this live news video. A lot to talk about today. First off though, Apple are considering or have already made an eye-watering bid for Formula 1's global broadcasting rights. Apple's potential monumental bid for Formula Formula One's global television rights have caused a lot of rumblings of a major shakeup in the Formula One broadcasting sphere, having surfaced as a report indicates that Apple's significant interest in securing global television rights for the sport has been divulged by a Business F1 magazine, talking about a serious lodging of a blockbuster bid posing a potential transformation in how Formula One reaches its avid global audience. The key takeaways from this are that Apple have incited their successful venture with the MLS, reportedly preparing to make a substantial bid for the global television rights to broadcast Formula One, a deal with Formula One potentially costing up to $2 billion a year, envisages a sliding scale of exclusivity for Apple, beginning at 25% and ambitiously scaling to 100% within 5 years, aligning with the expiration of current broadcasting contracts. So, Apple's recent successful alignment with MLS has seemingly catalyzed their pursuit of a more lucrative sporting events to broadcast, capitalizing on evident synergies between technology and live sports. Concurrently, Apple is reportedly casting its net wider, reporting also considering. Concurrently, Apple is reportedly casting its net wider, reportedly also considering showcasing the English Premier League as well. However, nothing has been officially confirmed. When approached for comments, Ian Holmes, the director of media rights for Formula One, preferred not to comment at this time. So very, very interesting to see that that Apple could make a massive bid for Formula One's rights. Just finding another article here talking about it. Yeah, very, very interesting. I mean, I don't know if this could come into play. We'll have to wait and see. Because last year, MLS, of course, what we were talking about, Major League Soccer, which Apple took over and started streaming on its Apple TV service, which is a subscription-based service, very similar to Formula One TV or Sky Sports Formula One. Business F1 reports that the deal will cost Apple around $2 billion a year, doubtful or double what the Formula One group is getting paid for their global TV rights currently. However, there are deals in place with broadcasters at the moment, so Apple won't get full rights immediately, which is why they would have to make that sliding scale. Disney-owned ESPN is one such broadcaster, as it holds the rights to the US market until 2025. This is likely the earliest that an Apple F1 deal can happen. The deal would reportedly be for a 7-year contract, with extending deals with the broadcasters gradually expiring. Apple should have global rights to auto itself within 5 years. This also means that Apple won't pay the full $2 billion a year immediately, but rather a fraction of that proportional to how much of the global rights it controls. For a comparison, the Major League Soccer rights cost just $250,000 a year. You can stream Major League Soccer for $15 a month or $29 for the full season on Apple TV+. Apple TV is currently producing a Formula One movie starring Brad Pitt with Joseph Kosinski in the director's role, while 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton is one of the producers. This movie will follow a fictional racing team, but Apple TV Plus is also working on a documentary focused on Hamilton. So certainly it looks like Apple is wanting to move a lot more into the sphere of Formula One. They are, as we've said, making their way into the film aspect of Formula One, and they look to be set to make a way into the broadcasting as well of Formula One in the future. Whether Apple will be able to make that work, we'll have to wait and see, as of course there is a lot of interest in broadcasting Formula One throughout the world. FIA, though, has also in the last couple of days approved Andretti's bid to join Formula One. This is a major talking point which we've been talking about in the last coming weeks and months. There's been a lot of videos on my channel, or on this channel, speaking about it, and now the FIA have officially approved the Andretti Cadillac team's bid for a new team to join the Formula One grid. A new team could be joining Formula One in the near future after the governing body has approved one applicant following a rigorous process. The FIA has granted approval for a new team to join Formula One, opening the potential for the grid to expand beyond 20 cars. Following months of deliberation, the application of Andretti Formula Racing has been approved after a comprehensive application process. Earlier this year, the FIA opened the formal applications process for new teams to join the Formula One grid as early as 2025, 1 year before the new technical regulations come into play. Formula One has existed with 10 teams since the 2017 season, with Haas being the last squad to set up in the paddock. Last year, Andretti Global announced its plans to join Formula One in the future and confirmed a tie-up with Cadillac in January, which would see a major car brand arrive on the grid, with it should it be successful. Andretti fields successful teams in the NTT IndyCar series as well as the all-electric Formula E category. As part of its increased investment into motorsport, Andretti showcased plans to build a brand new racing headquarters in Fishers, Indiana. This established their progress along with 3 other applicants to phase 2 of the process, which assessed them on their sporting and technical capabilities. The ability of the team to raise and maintain sufficient funding to allow participation in the championship at a competitive level, and the team's experience and human resources. With the FIA's approval, a decision now must be made by Formula One itself, with the governing body confirming that its findings have been passed on to the Formula One management for commercial discussions. Andretti have been reportedly the only team to fulfill the selected criteria. FIA President Mohammed bin Sulayem said, the FIA was very clear on its establishment stringent criteria. The FIA was very clear in establishing stringent criteria for their entry from the outset of the expressions on interest procedure. Our objective after rigorous due diligence during the application process was to only approve prospective entries which satisfied the set criteria and illustrated that they would add value to the sport. The FIA is obligated to approve. The FIA is obliged to approve applications that comply with the expressions of interest application requirements, and we have adhered to the procedure in deciding that Andretti Formula Racing LLC's application would proceed to the next stage of that application process. In taking that decision, the FIA is acting in accordance with EU directives on motorsport participation and development. Andretti Formula Racing was the only entity which fulfills the selection criteria that was set in all material aspects. And congratulate Michael Andretti and his team on a thorough submission. I also want to thank all prospective teams for their interest and participation. The expressions of interest process builds up on positive acceptance of the FIA's 2026 Formula One power unit regulations among existing OEMs, which has already attracted further commitment from Audi, Honda and Ford, and interest from Porsche and General Motors. I would like to thank all of the FIA teams. I would like to thank all of the FIA team members involved in the expressions of interest process for their tireless efforts in ensuring a diligent assessment of the FIA team applications received. So, very exciting to see that the FIA has approved Andretti's bid to join Formula One in 2025. Whether Formula One management will approve that, though, we will have to wait and see. There's a lot that does now have to happen before they can be admitted onto the Formula One grid. The Concord agreement with all of the teams would have to be redrawn because, of course, the teams don't really want their funds diluted with a new team being brought into the sport. It's also been rumored that a new team would have to pay a dilution fee of about, I think it's $200 million a year to not allow the rest of the teams to lose any money from the winnings pot at the end of the season. So it's really a lot of politics that are still involved, a lot of behind the scenes talking and, as I said, politics still with the FIA and Formula One group. Liberty Media might still not be all too happy to admit another team onto the Formula One grid. We'll have to wait and see what does happen. Do be sure though to drop a comment down in the comment section for us. We've asked there as well in a poll, do you want Andretti as Formula One's 11th team? 67% of you currently saying yes, 33% saying no. Do be sure to let us know who you would prefer to have as our 11th team on the Formula One grid if you are saying no in that poll. Of course, Audi are making their way into the sport very, very shortly, as well as Porsche had rumours that they were coming into the sport, but that did fall through. They were in talks with Red Bull about possibly joining forces, but as we said already, that did fall through. Moving on though to another article here, as a Formula 1 star is linked with a sensational move to replace Perez at Red Bull. Daniel Ricciardo is reportedly Red Bull's first choice if they do opt to dispense with Sergio Perez in 2024, despite leaving the team at the end of 2018. Ricciardo made a sensational return to the Formula 1 grid this season with Red Bull's sister team AlphaTauri, replacing the underperforming Nick de Vries. Although an injury has temporarily interrupted Ricciardo's comeback, he has been confirmed for AlphaTauri's lineup for next season. However, Lawrence Barreto reported on Formula1.com that Sergio Perez is under pressure at Red Bull, having scored only a little over half the number of points his teammate has mustered this season. The Mexican currently trailing 177 points, despite having what is comfortably the best car in the field. Sources have suggested, though, that Ricciardo would be Red Bull's favourite driver to replace Perez if required, either mid-season or at the end of the 2024 campaign. While Perez secured 2 Grand Prix victories earlier in 2023, the mounting pressure on him has... I don't know where he got any victories. Perez, not Ricciardo. While Perez secured 2 Grand Prix victories earlier in 2023, the mounting pressure on him has intensified, particularly with Ricciardo's return to the grid. Ricciardo's return to Formula 1 after being dropped by McLaren last season, with his ultimate goal being to secure a seat with Red Bull. Perez's contract with Red Bull now expires at the end of 2024, posing a significant decision for the team on whether to retain him as Max Verstappen's teammate or to bring in his former teammate Daniel Ricciardo. The dynamic between Perez and Verstappen has been occasionally turbulent, further complicating Perez's future with the team. Could this cause an upset, though, in the Red Bull team to oust Perez mid-season if he doesn't continue to perform next season? We'll have to wait and see, because I think he's been doing alright this season. Max Verstappen is just on a completely other level, and of course Perez has had some troublesome weekends with the likes of some crashes in qualifying, some crashes in the race, as well as just not having the same pace that his teammate Max Verstappen has had at certain tracks. It's been disappointing. We'd want to see Sergio Perez doing really well in that Red Bull car. I'd love to see him fighting for a world championship with Max Verstappen. I was really hoping that this season would get a title challenge at the likes of Nico Rosberg, Lewis Hamilton of the past, but it wasn't meant to be, unfortunately, this season, as we have had Max Verstappen just completely dominating his teammate and the rest of the grid. And yeah, it's thrown up a lot of question marks about Sergio Perez, whether he will be able to stay in that team come the future, because Red Bull do seem to be just getting a little bit antsy with him not being able to match his teammate. And we've seen, though, that it is just so difficult to match Max Verstappen. He's gone through so many teammates in the past. Perez did quite well last season to act as a rear gunner for Red Bull, and he's been doing really well as a rear gunner once again this year, but in certain races, as I've said already, he just has been a little bit lost. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see, though, what does happen with Sergio Perez. As now, the next Formula 1 rumour we are talking about, Formula 1 rumours, the FIA have made a last-minute change to the Qatar Grand Prix after multiple drivers' offences. An innovative compromise induced introduction of concrete slabs aiming to strategically enforce track limits at the reimagined Losail International Circuit during the 2023 Qatar Grand Prix. Emerging details reveal a fresh approach to managing track limits at the Qatar Grand Prix, utilising concrete slabs designed to deter drivers from exploiting circuit boundaries. The measure, prompted by an ongoing dilemma surrounding track limits and following an intriguing discourse between the FIA and FIM, which is the Moto GP governing body, embeds a unique solution at the Losail International Circuit. As the 2023 Qatar Grand Prix, marking the first in a decade-long contract, looms on the horizon, all eyes have been drawn to an unexpected last-minute alteration at the Losail circuit. Since Formula 1's inaugural visit in 2021, which memorably was won by Lewis Hamilton, the circuit has witnessed extensive modifications to meet the rigorous demands of hosting long-term Formula 1 actions. But it is a distinctive change concerning track limits that has caught attention ahead of a race where Max Verstappen, after a triumphant victory in Japan, is considered to be the predominant favourite. According to news articles, the new track limit enforces innovative concrete blocks have been installed behind curbs at crucial corners. These blocks present a dual surface, one smooth, the other rendered coarse by solidified gravel, envisioned to dissuade drivers from crossing over them, thereby maintaining respect for track limits. The initiative was born out of a divergent viewpoint between Formula 1's governing body, the FIA, and MotoGP's governing body entity, the FIM. The FIA championed for gravel traps enveloping the runoff areas, while the FIM proposed asphalt strips preceding the gravel. The ultimate decision saw the circuit choosing from FIM's asphalt suggestion, devising a compromise for Formula 1 in the form of the newly integrated concrete blocks. So we'll have to wait and see though if this does allow the teams or the drivers to stop going over those track limits there, as the Losail circuit is set to debut those new concrete blocks this next weekend out in Qatar, as it is once again a race week here this week. I completely forgot that it was a race week, but we do have once again the Qatar Grand Prix making its debut after a year hiatus, of course, because of the Qatar FIFA World Cup. They do though join once again this year, and they are going to be on the calendar for, I think it's another 6 years, if I'm not mistaken, as Formula 1 have signed them on a multi-year contract to bring Formula 1 to Qatar. Yeah, very interesting though that this is the compromise or the way that teams are or that the FIA is going about trying to dissuade drivers from going over the track limits. Yeah, I don't necessarily know if it's the safest way, because we've seen in the past those concrete blocks and sausage curbs can be quite dangerous. We've had drivers like, I think it was, her name is just gone out of my mind now, but we've seen in the past in Australia, or not Australia, in Austin, America, where I think it was not Jessica Hawkins, but one of the Formula or the W Series drivers went over one of those sausage curbs and broke her back. Because of the aggressiveness of that. We don't want to see that happening. We don't want to see drivers being hurt because of aggressive curbs and other things like that. But hopefully it does dissuade drivers from going over the track limits. We'll see though whether that does help this weekend. I'm sure the teams will be wanting to stay very far away from that for sure. As we move on to our next article here, Mercedes fears that it has lost their race day Formula 1 tyre edge over Ferrari. Mercedes suspects that its tyre advantage over their main Formula 1 rival, Ferrari, has been wiped away thanks to the progress that their Italian squad has made recently. In the early phase of the season, the Mercedes team would have the edge in races because its W14 car was much less harsh on its tyres than the Ferrari team. However, as Ferrari has made gains in the understanding of its car in 2023, and why it was so hard on its rubber early on, its race pace has improved dramatically. And with that, the two teams now are locked in a fight for the runners-up in the Constructors' Championship, which has now switched in team characteristics, and could prove critical as their fight plays out over the remaining 6 races of the campaign. At the recent Japanese Grand Prix, where tyre degradation was a critical factor in deciding the pace on Sunday, Ferrari showed how on top of things it was, as Charles Leclerc finished ahead of Mercedes and their lead car of Lewis Hamilton. This was a result that Mercedes trackside engineer and director Andrew Chauvelin proved that the Ferrari was no longer behind with its management on tyre degradation. Chauvelin reckoned that Mercedes' lack of performance over the Japanese Grand Prix weekend was down to a simple lack of downforce. I think the performance deficit was there in qualifying. We have a little bit less performance through the fast corners. It's the same thing that was costing us in the race, he said. I think really this track is all about how much grip you have in the fast corners. A little bit, or a lot of that will be downforce, and we do need to look at where a little bit, and we do look like we are a little bit behind in that regard to Ferrari. Ferrari did bring an upgraded floor, so maybe they've moved forward. But I think if we look at some of our recent tracks, that advantage we have had with degradation, it's not as evident now in the season as it was in the earlier races. Speaking at the Japanese Grand Prix, Ferrari team principal Fred Vasseur acknowledged that his squad had made good gains improving its tyre management, considering what it showed in the race. It's sure if you have to look at the first couple of races of the season, the degradation or the tyre management were not always our greatest skill, he said. Coming to Suzuka though, with this track temperature, we were a little bit at risk, but at the end of the day, I think we did a good job on the side. The race was under control. The strategy was well managed. We did well. A clear step forward compared to the first part of the season. And certainly it has been a major step forward since the beginning of the season, where they just completely fell away in races. I mean, that's why they were down in 5th in the Constructors' Championship at one point, because they just had terrible race days when, of course, all the points were scored. They just had absolutely horrific tyre degradation, which meant that their strategies were constantly compromised. They weren't able to follow closely with other cars and weren't able to challenge for podium positions. And now that they've been able to understand a little bit better and hit the ground running a little bit more with their tyre degradation being a little bit more under control, it's really allowed them to get a lot closer to the Mercedes and challenge them. We've seen them take a race win in Singapore. We've seen them get really close now in Japan as well. And what could they do throughout the rest of the season? Certainly the Ferraris are going to be one of the teams to keep looking at. They're going to be wanting to take away that second position in the Constructors' Championship away from Mercedes. That is their goal for the rest of the season. It's going to be difficult, but if Mercedes keep dropping the ball a little bit, it could fall into the hands of Ferrari. Just looking a little bit at our comment section and seeing what you guys are all saying there. Just do be sure to keep dropping us comments and letting us know what you feel. As we move on to our next article here, that's saying McLaren are eager to avoid any more Norris and Piastri Formula 1 team orders. McLaren wants to avoid the need for imposing any more team orders on its Formula 1 drivers, after again intervening between Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri in Japan. With its two drivers on slightly offset strategies at Suzuka, McLaren had to ask Piastri to let Norris through at one point to ensure that they did not waste time fighting each other and risk squandering the team's prospects for a double podium finish. The latest call to get the drivers help from each other came after similar team orders requests at the Hungarian Grand Prix as well as the Italian Grand Prix. McLaren boss Andrea Stella has no doubts that the team has done the right thing in swapping its drivers around when needed though, but he accepts it is something that he is not eager to happen all the time. Asked how the Japan call compared to those made in Hungary and Italy, Stella said, "It was much easier, in a way, as to those situations which were stressful, especially the one in Monza. And when I say stressful, I mean stressful, because we created stress between our two drivers. We could have avoided that, really. That's something that we reviewed. It may happen again in the future, but when it is avoidable, we should avoid it." In this case, the approach was, let's see how fast Lando is closing, and let's see if overtaking comes naturally. When we saw that it doesn't come so naturally, then we asked the drivers to swap, so that we wouldn't lose the race time for both. Stella thinks that the pace between Norris and Piastri in the Japanese Grand Prix at the stage of the race when the team had to intervene was exaggerated by the excessive tyre degradation. In a race like this, every lap of tyre that you save, so if you pit one lap later than somebody else, you gain 1/10, added Stella. Lando at this stage pitted 6 laps later than Piastri, so his car is automatically 6/10 quicker than any other car. Also, in addition to that, I have to say that Lando's pace was very good in absolute terms. And if anything, we have to look at Oscar, at where he could have gained the 1 or 2 tenths overall pace that seemed to lack compared to Lando. Interesting to see that they're not wanting to have these team orders too much more in the future. We don't really disagree with them all too much, because it can really provide some tricky situations for teammates and could provide some crashes as well. We've seen it in the past between, them. They had a bit of a crash there in Monza. They bumped wheels, fortunately not causing any damage, but we don't want to see them getting too close and having those issues during races, because of course that just causes major headaches on the team wall there between all of the management at McLaren. We've seen this though in the past as well with other teams. Mercedes also recently in, I think it was Singapore, as well as now this last weekend out in Japan. Their drivers were fighting, but you kind of sometimes have to let them fight out on track. But other times when the team can see that their pace is so much different and one driver has a much faster pace than the other, you do just have to enforce team orders and say, come guys now, Lando is faster than you, let's just let him go through. And if he can't make any big changes in the end of the race, then we'll swap once again. But yeah, very interesting to see that McLaren are just saying that they're not too upset about the fact that they're having to make these team orders, but they would like to minimize that in the future. Just looking at some updates on the 2026 regulations though that have been released here. There's just been a few more updates on that as been released by Red Bull Racing Daily on Twitter. 30 kilograms of fuel is to be used to charge the battery of the Formula 1 car, with the width reduced from 190 centimeters to 200 centimeters, as well as the wheelbase length is going to be reduced to 340 centimeters from 360. A reduction to 330 centimeters is possible, but the teams have to show resistances, or have shown resistances towards it. A 40% reduction in downforce is also expected, as well as overtaking should become easier without the use of artificial aids, probably reducing the likes of DRS as well as the ERS that comes into play. I'm really looking forward to the 2026 regulations. I'm hoping that the cars get a lot smaller because that will allow closer racing, as well as closer racing on certain circuits such as street circuits like Monaco, Azerbaijan. We want to see closer racing between these cars. We want to see smaller cars. We want to see the noise of these cars being brought up as well. There's, of course, a big engine regulations change coming in 2026. There's been a big freeze up until then for the regulations. But whether we'll see major upsets coming from those regulation changes, of course, Audi makes their way into sports that season. I'm really looking forward to 2026. It's really looking like that season is going to be an absolute cracker for all of us. And we sure do hope that all of you guys will be joining us for all of that as well. But that has been it for me here today on Forever Motorsport. Thank you very much for joining me. Do be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy all of the content that we are bringing out to you guys. There will be a whole bunch of short form content being brought to you throughout the day as well. Please do be sure to hit that like button and do be sure to hit that notification bell icon to get notifications from us when we do upload on this channel. Thank you very much though for joining us here today. I have been Reece here on Forever Motorsports. Cheers. Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. My name is Reece. I'll be talking to you a little bit today about one of our channel partners, Bitdefender. Bitdefender is a global leader in cyber security. Bitdefender is committed to defending people all around the globe against cyber attacks, as well as to transform people's digital experiences. In the next 6 months, Forever Sports will be covering major tournaments such as the Rugby Championship, the Premier League, the remainder of the Formula 1 season, as well as embarking on the biggest Rugby World Cup YouTube campaign ever. To ensure that these are all a success, it is imperative that the Forever Sports channels and platforms remain uncompromised. And with Bitdefender, we can be assured that our cybersecurity needs are being taken care of. To read more on Bitdefender, please be sure to check the links in the description of our video. Once again, thank you very much to our partner, Bitdefender, for joining the channel. I've been Reece here on Forever Sports. Thank you very much. Hello and welcome to Forever Motorsports here for another daily Formula 1 news video. And once again, a lot to talk about, as you've already seen in our poll that is asking you guys, do you think Alpine will be able to resolve their infighting and return to the top of the Formula 1 field? If you have not voted in that poll, please do be sure to go and cast your vote there for that. And let us know what you think about Alpine. We'll go straight in, though, with that news about Alpine. The Alpine Formula 1 CEO reveals his plan to fix a huge amount of internal issues at Alpine. The Alpine CEO, Luca Di Maio, has outlined a clear plan to address significant problems within his Formula 1 team. The French outfit began the latest regulation changes in a reasonable fashion last year, establishing themselves as the best of the rest. Despite reliability presenting itself as a clear weakness, Alpine had a strong foundation to build upon for 2023. However, the team's aspirations to fight at the front failed to materialize over the winter break. From day one in preseason, the A523 proved to be relatively uncompetitive. Despite the quiet confidence shown by Masaf now in interviews, there were few signs that Alpine would be world beaters in Bahrain. Pierre Gasly's P9 finish was a strong recovery from qualifying, validating the early consensus. Still, later events in Australia and Miami provided some optimism for the team, and that they could pull themselves somehow up the field. Under certain conditions, the French team was capable of giving the likes of Aston Martin something to worry about. Although a fantastic weekend in Monaco provided further encouragement, the A523 has shown little promise since then. Whilst the car is relatively compliant.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Motorsports here. You're joined by myself, Mark, and my very, very good friend here, Reece, who's, of course, going to be reviewing the sprint shootout that we've just had. The big news of the day, McLaren 1-2. Reece, what an incredible little piece of driving from the two.
Yes, a phenomenal end to the session here in Qatar, almost said Bahrain, but as I said, a phenomenal end to the session. It was really exciting at the end, with Max Verstappen having his first lap time deleted in that final shootout session, and then Piastri just pulling it out of the bag at the end. Lando Norris was on a faster lap, but he lost it in the final sector. So it went to Piastri, and Piastri takes pole. To take you through our top 10, Oscar Piastri finishes in P1 with a 124.4, Lando Norris in P2 with a 124.5, and Verstappen in P3 with a 124.6. So very close between that top three. Then through the rest of the top 10, Russell in 4th, Carlos Sainz in 5th, Leclerc 6th, Hülkenberg 7th, Perez 8th, Alonso 9th, Ocon 10th.
And then, of course, we move into our bottom 10. Now, notably from Q1 and Q2, we saw a big name drop out in Q2, or rather Sprint Shootout 2, whatever you want to call it. That is, of course, Lewis Hamilton, who you've not heard until now. He starts the race in 12th, well, the sprint in 12th, of course. Gasly starts in 11th. Then Bottas 13th, Lawson 14th, Zhou 15th, Stroll in 16th, Albon 17th, Tsunoda 18th, Magnussen 19th, and 20th, as per usual, Logan Sargent.
Yes, Logan Sargent had a relatively good day today. Logan Sargent?
Starting in 20th, yes, for the sprint. Of course,
sorry, not Logan Sargent. I'm thinking of Liam Lawson.
Yes.
Yeah. Liam Lawson had a relatively good day today, getting ahead of his teammate Yuki Tsunoda, who qualifies down on 18th. A little bit of a mix-up between the names. They both start with an L. That's why. And, yeah, he had a really good day out there, finishing up in P14. Unfortunately, he could have finished a little bit higher, but his final lap time was deleted in Shootout 2. But still a good position for him to start the race, or at least the sprint race in later this afternoon.
Yeah, of course, only the top 8 get points there, so he's going to really struggle to get points in such a short race. But nonetheless, a good start for him. He also outperforms his teammate again, Yuki Tsunoda starting down in 18th position. But Lance Stroll, after not making out of Q1 yesterday, didn't make it out of Sprint Shootout 1 either today. All the way down in 16th, and he would have been 17th had a couple of lap times not been deleted for track limits. So very, very concerning for Lance Stroll and Aston Martin. I think that's been the big talk of the weekend. What's going to happen with him? Is this the breaking point for his Formula 1 career? Of course, yesterday we saw a very angry man. I think he must be angry now today as well.
I certainly think publicly he has lost a lot of credibility in the Formula 1 paddock. Social media has been set ablaze in the past couple of hours because of the way that he acted yesterday in qualifying and the way that he shoved his engineer out the way or his trainer out the way. It's not what we want to see. He's not necessarily a very good representative for Formula 1 drivers anymore, and I think possibly there's going to be a lot of push maybe from other people back in Aston Martin as well as sponsors, because at the end of the day he's also representing them and they don't want to be represented by somebody like that.
No, not at all. And meanwhile, his teammate, I've just got the news now, has had his lap time deleted.
Oh, no. So
Alonso will no longer start in 5th. He will start in 9th. So it's just run through then. Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc will start in 5th and 6th. Russell in 4th now as a result of Alonso getting his lap time deleted. Very unfortunate for the other Aston Martin driver, but he still significantly outperforms his teammate, who's down in 16th. Russell also, to be fair, outperforming Hamilton by quite a bit. Russell up in 4th, Hamilton down in 12th. Do we think McLaren can hold on to 1 and 2 later for the sprint shootout?
Well, I would hope so, because it would make a really exciting sprint shootout ahead of us. But I don't know. Max Verstappen is really hungry to take that championship here today. And I think you're going to have to be a force to take that away from him.
Yeah, that's exactly that. And of course, we're going to be watching that with all eyes very much set on the screens as Max Verstappen can potentially win the Drivers' Championship for 2023 in today's sprint shootout. It all comes down to his teammate as well, how he does. Sergio Perez starts in 8th. That is, of course, the last points position in the sprint. So be sure to join us on the channel. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel as well. And we'll see you later for that sprint. And you'll be dragged onto the next stream right now. But thank you guys so much for watching Forever Motorsports. Cheerio.
Welcome to the Losail International Circuit, home to the Qatar Grand Prix. The Losail International Circuit is a renowned motorsport venue located in the desert landscape of the Losail region. This state-of-the-art circuit is primarily known for hosting Moto GP events and made its debut on the Formula 1 calendar in 2021. The maiden edition of the Qatar Grand Prix was held on November 21st, 2021, substituting for the cancelled Australian Grand Prix that year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The race saw Lewis Hamilton emerge victorious for Mercedes, securing the top spot on the podium, followed by Red Bull's Max Verstappen and Fernando Alonso's Alpine. The 5.4-kilometer Losail circuit has been completely resurfaced since 2021, with a new pit and paddock complex. The circuit is fast and flowing with 16 medium and high-speed corners, as well as no heavy braking zones throughout the track. The main straight is more than 1 kilometer long, which should provide some great overtakes in the sprint race and in the race on Sunday. Watch now as you get taken around a lap of the Losail International Circuit. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more Formula 1 content, and do be sure to join us for our coverage of the Qatar Grand Prix. Hello everybody and welcome as we get ready for the Qatar Grand Prix sprint race to get underway here. Just a few minutes left to get going, 8 minutes and 18 seconds as we're seeing Oscar Piastri get ready to get into his car. Just rewatching one of his interviews that he did before this, before he went and got onto the grid, just asking him how he's feeling ahead of this sprint race. Of course, there's a lot of pressure on his shoulders with him starting ahead of his teammate Lando Norris, the more experienced driver in that team. But I think that the goal for their team today will be to maximize all of these points. They really do want to close down that gap to Mercedes, Ferrari, and Aston Martin, of course. There's still a few more races in the season to close down on the points, and at every opportunity they can score, they're going to want to. So a very good opportunity today for McLaren with Lando Norris also on that front row of the grid, of course, also being interviewed now. Yeah, I think it's going to be very exciting. I think they have a lot to try and do, of course, with Max Verstappen hurtling at them from behind. It's going to be very tricky into turn one. I think they need to keep very clear of each other, first of all. And then second of all, they need to be very wary of that driver, Max Verstappen, coming up from behind, because I think he's going to be very, very competitive. We were hearing a little bit before this got underway that a lot of the teams were looking into one of Max Verstappen's lap times. That got him that third place on the podium because, or on the start of this race on the grid, and apparently he was slightly over the track limits, it looks like, yeah, it may have nothing really to, or not nothing really to do, but no basis for that, as Red Bull have come out and said that no, they think that everything is all right. Yeah, but we'll have to wait and see if any teams decide to pursue that after the session. As yeah, we're just looking now at Oscar Piastri in his car, as well as Lando Norris. Yeah, I'm just going to take a very quick break while I run the track guide before we do get going. We have just, let me check that timer. We have 6 minutes and 6 seconds to get going before this race does get underway. And I'm going to transfer you over one more time to that track guide before we get underway here for the sprint race. Welcome to the Losail International Circuit, home to the Qatar Grand Prix. The Losail International Circuit is a renowned motorsport venue located in the desert landscape of the Losail region. This state-of-the-art circuit is primarily known for hosting Moto GP events and made its debut on the Formula 1 calendar in 2021. The maiden edition of the Qatar Grand Prix was held on November 21st, 2021, substituting for the cancelled Australian Grand Prix that year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The race saw Lewis Hamilton emerge victorious for Mercedes, securing the top spot on the podium, followed by Red Bull's Max Verstappen and Fernando Alonso's Alpine. The 5.4km Losail circuit has been completely resurfaced since 2021, with a new pit and paddock complex. The circuit is fast and flowing with 16 medium and high-speed corners, as well as no heavy braking zones throughout the track. The main straight is more than 1 kilometer long, which should provide some great overtakes in the sprint race and in the race on Sunday. Watch now as you get taken around a lap of the Losail International Circuit. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more Formula 1 content, and do be sure to join us for our coverage of the Qatar Grand Prix. Hello and welcome back to Forever Motorsports. I'm hoping that you're all a lot more familiar now with the track that we are going around in the sprint race today. And we have now just had those Formula 1 titles rolling, and we're looking overhead at this track. A lot of comments there from Hi, who's saying Lando or Piastri, I think, are yet to not count, well, to count out Max, who will finish P1 in the sprint race. Currently, we have a poll up and running. Piastri is taking 23% of that poll, 16% going to Norris, and 53% going to Max Verstappen, with 8% going to other. Please do let us know in the comment section if you voted for other. Let us know who you are rooting for the race today. Not long left to go. 2 minutes and 20 seconds till we get the formation lap of this sprint race. And then, of course, we will get going. Very, very exciting. Do be sure to let me know down in the comment section where you're watching from. Do be sure to like the video as well. It really helps us get recommended in the YouTube search bar and just helps us get more people in on the stream. It just means that more people are able to comment with you guys, and we can have some more constructive conversations down there in the comment section. And do be sure as well, if you're enjoying our Formula 1 content, to subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you are notified every time we do go live and upload a video for you guys. Yeah, just looking now at our grid. Logan Sargent will be starting from P20 with Kevin Magnussen down in 19th place. Yuki Tsunoda then in 18th, Alex Albon in 17th, Lance Stroll 16th, Zhou Guanyu 15th, Liam Lawson in 14th, with Valtteri Bottas starting alongside him in 13th. Then in 12th, we have Lewis Hamilton not having the greatest qualifying session in that sprint shootout earlier this afternoon. Then next to him is Pierre Gasly in P11. His teammate Esteban Ocon is ahead of him in P10. He did not get a time in that final sprint session because of the fact that he did get his lap time deleted. Alonso as well had his lap times deleted. Sergio Perez is down on 8th with Nico Hülkenberg alongside him in 7th. Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz, the two Ferraris, are on the 3rd row of the grid in 5th and 6th. Carlos Sainz 5th, Charles Leclerc 6th, George Russell then is 4th, Verstappen in 3rd, Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri locking out the front row for McLaren. The first time in a very long time that we have had a locked out grid from the McLarens. Muad asking, where is Mark? Mark is coming in a few minutes. He's just setting up some things on the other side. He will join us, though, midway through the session. Yeah, really looking forward to this as our ticker starts to just get down there as it's about to run out and we get going for our formation lap. I'm going to hide that for now because there's no need to have that anymore. Let's transfer that over. If it wants to listen to me. No, it doesn't. There we go. That should be live now. Donnie Lessing saying, hello from Volcom. Like I said, Piastri, Verstappen, and Russell. Thank you for letting us know your predictions for the sprint race. Yeah, Brandon watching from Zimbabwe, Ellie watching from the Netherlands. Thank you very much for letting me know where you're all watching from. Do be sure to comment down in the comment section and I will try my best to give you guys all a shout out. All of the tie blankets are now removed. We see the two McLarens starting on a set of mediums. I'm trying to see if everyone is starting on a set of mediums or if we actually do have some soft runners out there, as they are now released for the start of the formation lap. There will be 19 laps of this sprint race, and yeah, we get going now for the formation lap ahead of the start of the sprint. Do be sure to drop your predictions down in the comment section, and yeah, let us know who you're going to back for this session, as I think yeah, Max Verstappen is going to be looking surely very, very dominant, but will he be able to win the World Championship, the Drivers' Championship here today, or will he have to wait until the race on Sunday? It's looking very likely that he could take it today. We're looking at the compounds that we have here available to us in Qatar. It's the C3, the C2, and the C1 compound. I've been saying, though, throughout the weekend that I think it's maybe a step too soft, because we're already seeing how there's issues with the Pirelli compounds. They've had to paint some of the curbs and extend them a little bit more onto the track because of the fact that these curbs are so aggressive. And Pirelli saw overnight that a lot of the sidewalls of the tires were taking a lot of damage from those aggressive curbs, and they decided that it was not safe for the race on Sunday, so they've extended these curbs, extended those track limits, of course, as well, and the drivers are just having to be a little bit more careful. Moed also asking, will Lewis Hamilton have a chance of a podium today? I certainly do not think so. He's starting down in 12th. Yeah. Lindy, we're saying hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us again, Lindy. We're one of our regulars here on the channel. I'm sure we'll get a whole bunch of our other regulars jumping in soon, as we're about to hit 200 concurrent viewers. Thank you very much for joining. Do be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying our content. If you like the video, it does help us get recommended a little bit more in the search bar. Are you going to join me? You're just sitting next to me. I didn't know.
I was just going to watch the first formation lap, but nonetheless, I am coming in. You can hear my voice. Reece is not obviously speaking. It's my voice. It's coming in very soon. I just wanted to join and see the start of this race. I will unfortunately have to head out and in and out again during the stream, just having to manage a whole lot of other things. But I'm very, very keen to watch the beginning of the sprint race, which I think Piastri and Norris will have a fantastic start. They usually do. They're usually one of the fastest starting cars in the grid. So I think Max Verstappen's going to have to try and put up with that. And will he be able to compete with them? I'm not so sure. But I think that Piastri and Norris could be in for a double podium here in the sprint race. That could be very, very good.
It could be, but I don't think you can discount the likes of George Russell in that Mercedes. They have been quite fast through the practice session. Ish.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah, it's exactly that. So this will take you through the opening lap here of the Qatar Sprint Race, as all the cars are now lining their way up on the grid here, and we're just waiting for the few stragglers at the end. Sargent, of course, the last one in his Williams at the very back of the grid, as per usual. And he is just coming onto the main straight now, behind the Haas of Magnussen and behind Yuki Tsunoda, as everybody's now lining up. Lewis Hamilton, of course, way back there in 12th position now, gets himself in his grid box there. And
the two McLarens having to wait a very long time on the line here while we wait for the last few stragglers to make their way to the grid boxes. We now do have that medical car lining up at the back of the grid, which means that we should be getting the lights out very, very shortly here in Qatar. Getting very excited. The green flag is now waved. We get one. I'm waiting for the lights to get out, but it's taking a very long time here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights. And out and away we go. Oscar Piastri has a good start there. George Russell has a brilliant start. He overtakes Lando Norris on the outside. Max Verstappen falling further back. He's lost quite a few places here at the start. He's all the way down in 6th now. Has a bit of a twitch there through turn 1. He's getting overtaken by 2 other people. The Ferraris are both ahead of Max Verstappen, but we have Oscar Piastri in P1. He's now being chased down. Big crash in the background. We see a bunch of dust all being kicked up by drivers going off the track. We're seeing Max Verstappen coming under a lot of pressure. He's now overtaken Lando Norris. We're having, who else is fighting there? Fernando Alonso and Lando Norris now are fighting it out. Liam Lawson has unfortunately been tagged. He's the one that was causing that big smoke, well, not smoke cloud, dust cloud there in the background. We're seeing now Max Verstappen having to reel back those places. He's got the 2 Ferraris ahead of him now. Could we get a safety car? Because Liam Lawson has not moved yet.
That was an incredible start there for Sainz, by the way, on a side note. Managed to make his way straight past everybody into 3rd position and was really trying to vie into that first corner. For even 1st and 2nd, it was an absolutely blitz start from both the Ferraris. And we do see Liam Lawson beached. This is going to be a safety car. Safety car has been called. Safety car has been called. So everybody's going to stop now immediately. And safety car now results in the grid as it is. So, Lando Norris, terrible start for him. All the way down in 6th, but Piastri still in 1st. Max
Verstappen arguably had the worst start of everyone. He almost got overtaken by his own teammate and, well, not his own teammate, sorry, Esteban Ocon and Fernando Alonso almost overtook him. But we do have all of these cars slowing down. This is going to play into the hands of those on the medium tyres. And that is why those few drivers have rarely benefited. The likes of Russell, Sainz, and Leclerc have been able to have such a good start here because they started on a set of softs, while the likes of Piastri, Verstappen, and Norris started on a set of mediums.
And it's going to be very interesting now with the safety car so early on, because it does mean that those tyres won't degrade as quickly as they might have in the race, and it might have been a bit of an edgy one towards the end of the session as to whether they could finish. But look at the blitz start from this Ferraris, and look at how poor a start Max Verstappen had.
Verstappen also got pushed off wide by Lando Norris. You can see how close he got as well to Fernando Alonso, and then he just had to really fend off as they're all now making their way through the start-finish straight. Yeah, those 2 Ferraris also getting really close together there. I'm waiting to see what happened to Liam Lawson, as we're now watching from his race perspective. He doesn't get a bad start. He looks like he gets a good lunge on I think the Alfa Romeo Valtteri Bottas into turn 1, and the other Alfa Romeo into turn 2. Ooh, and he just gets a tank slapper there and is unable to hold on to it.
Yeah, as Bottas didn't actually take contact from anybody, just unfortunately just lost control of the car. Car just winded a bit and then ended up in the gravel, could not get himself out. Just watch the start from Max Verstappen. Norris had a terrible start with Max Verstappen, and the 2 Ferraris went up on the inside and took them. And it was very, very late decision there from Norris to keep going into the corner. Max Verstappen had to dive out to avoid contact and is still sitting in 5th now as a result. He tried to make it back at Norris, and that's where he took him. But then, of course, you still see those 2 Ferraris ahead of him. They were also battling it out, almost forcing each other off the track. But a fantastic start for those 2 Ferraris. They must be chuffed. They could possibly take Piastri and Russell, of course, because I think both of them are on the medium tyre.
Yes, they are on the medium tyre, which means they should be more comfortable towards the end of the lap. Watching Sergio Perez's race restart, he has a massive snap of understeer into turn 1. He's really fighting with the steering wheel. But he had a really good start, considering that he's on the mediums. But you see here, he just goes a little bit wide into that one corner, and he gets a bit washed out and just loses the momentum to everyone else.
Yeah, that's exactly that. So, I mean, a very, very bizarre start here in the sprint race. Max Verstappen drops from 3rd to 5th. Piastri still stays
Great
in
flag.
first.
Safety cars coming in this lap. Sorry, Mark.
Yeah, no problem at all. So the safety car is going to come in, and then we're going to see a great restart here. I'm hoping to see from maybe the Ferraris, because they could really go for it. Piastri's now let go,
He's
taking it.
very soon. He's not wanting to be caught by George Russell behind. So he's just caught everyone out there, racing a little bit quicker than anyone may have thought he was going to.
Ferraris.
But these Ferraris are looking quite fast.
Fernando
Alonso making an easy move now on Lando Norris. Will he get round him into turn one? He does. Brilliant move from Fernando Alonso. Oh, but actually, Lando Norris gets better momentum around the outside on him.
Yeah, Fernando Alonso tried the desperate overtake around the outside there, but was unable to take Norris into that first corner. Norris holds on to that position, though he's still down 4 positions so far in this race.
Fernando Alonso still getting his elbows out, and he's really desperately trying to get that position away from Lando Norris as he's out on the inside on turn 5 and 6. A really, really difficult set of corners. As now George Russell takes the lead from Oscar Piastri. There goes the McLaren's hopes of getting a race win here today.
Wow.
Now Oscar Piastri is getting under pressure from the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz.
Yeah, it just shows these soft tyre runners are moving a lot quicker. That's why Fernando Alonso is really putting pressure on Norris. But can they keep these tyres good for the rest of the race? That's the big problem.
That is the question for sure. They are faster in this stint of the race, but come the end, there's another yellow flag. Sargent's lost it.
Sargent, it's always Sargent. It's just watching this replay of George Russell take Piastri, just dives in late on the inside, and it's actually a fantastic overtake.
Safety car has been called. Safety car has been called for Logan Sargent.
Is out. So, as per usual, Logan Sargent is out. Russell being told, big move, come on. Well, that's what he really said about himself. But he moves into first position right now. But these soft tyre runners are going to be benefited once again by another safety car here.
Ooh, that is a big moment for Logan Sargent, and he beaches himself. Yeah. I mean, not too surprised. He just looks like he starts to lose it on entry. This is a really, really tricky circuit.
Yes, but I would say it's very similar to what happened to Lawson, except it's a different corner for Sargent. Same thing, though, just unfortunately catches a little less grip. The car just swings about, and then he can't control it. It just swings into the gravel, and the gravel here in Qatar is just absolutely menacing. You don't want to be anywhere near it because there's no ways you're getting out of it. And as a result, yet another safety car, 4 laps into this race. But now, Russell is our race leader. Piastri's now in second. Those 2 Ferraris putting a lot of pressure on him as well. Norris down in 6th. This is really not good for the medium tyre runners because they want to try and have a full race here because then the soft tyre runners would have a lot of degradation on their tyres.
This is playing into the hands of the soft runners, as you say, Mark, because, of course, they are able to just get a lap in and then they cool their tyres down again, which means they can keep going longer and longer. But as will the process of heating your tyres up and cooling them down a lot also may kill them.
Yeah.
So we don't really know what's going to happen here. And it's a big unknown still about what's going to happen with the tyre wear on those soft tyres.
That's exactly that, because also Alonso was trying desperately to get past Norris. We could see that he was making the moves because he's got those soft tyres on, just clearly a lot quicker. But at the same time, in that attempt to get past Norris, he then lost a position to Ocon. Ocon took advantage, has now moved into 7th. Alonso has now dropped back down into 8th position. So, yeah, unfortunately, his attempt to take a position has resulted in him losing one.
Yes, as we're just looking at Fernando Alonso now. He's actually fallen back a position. Esteban Ocon managed to get ahead of him in the race restart.
That's what I just
Sorry,
did, yeah.
I wasn't listening. I was busy trying to
no problem. So yeah, also noting that Lance Stroll's managed to make up 3 positions as well. This is exactly where he loses this position. He just loses out to Norris here, and Esteban Ocon comes on his inside and takes him out the race. Well, not quite takes him out the race, but certainly
takes that position away from him.
Just had a really poor exit there, did Alonso, when trying to take Norris.
Ooh.
And as a result,
Esteban Ocon has a brilliant exit. Ooh. Oh, it's because Fernando Alonso has a bit of an oversteer moment there. Disappointing for him, but I'm sure he will be able to return to that form a little bit later in the sprint race.
Yeah, it's exactly that. So the safety car is still out. It's going to stay out for another lap because they still need to recover the car. I think it might have been recovered already. It's quite quick here in Qatar. So they'll have one more lap around here. So in lap 6, we will get going again with the green flag, I'm sure.
Yes, we are now on lap 5 of 19 here for the sprint race. Hi, just saying Max out next, please.
Yeah, well, I mean...
Sainz saying we need to solve a misfire. There's an issue with this engine. So just being told by his engineer, copy it was a surge event, and we are thinking of changing the settings in case, but it should be okay. I will let you know. That's not looking good for the Ferrari.
A surge event, basically meaning that the car basically overpowered itself by mistake, took on too much power, and just resulted in some problems there for Sainz. The engineers say it might be fixed, so hoping that is true, because the Ferraris currently stand a very good chance of getting onto the podium for this sprint race because
But I don't think we can discount Piastri as of yet. George Russell, looking at the tires that they're on, George Russell is on 7-lap-old soft tires.
Leclerc's on 10.
I know. I was about to say, I was about to go through the whole grid. Hamilton's on 11-lap-old mediums down there. Piastri's on 6-lap-old mediums. Sainz is on 4-lap-old softs. I don't know how that works because we're on lap 5. But Piastri on the radio now. Just saying that we're being told we can see that the soft runners have some good grip now, but we know it will come to the medium runners in the end.
But that's why I say it's interesting to see because these soft tyre runners need to make enough ground on the medium tyre runners before the end of the race. That's why I say Norris.
They need to stick with them is what they really
Norris
need to do.
and Verstappen could certainly come back at them at the end of this race. They've lost positions now, and so has Piastri. But I think towards the end of the race, we'll see the opposite happen. Just watching that replay of Lance Stroll here, I think he sees Liam Lawson just dive out.
He just has that bit of an understeer snap and tries to correct it. And yeah, you can see there for Liam Lawson, unfortunately, just understeer moments. Tries to overcorrect it, does a spin, beaches himself in the gravel. Unfortunate, but it happens here. That car now has been recovered, and hopefully the safety car will be in, not this lap, the next lap.
So Logan Sargent, yet another race here. I mean, yes, it's only a sprint race, but yet another one that is out and is not able to participate further. I mean, again, we still have to put question marks over his position in Formula One because he's really struggling out there.
He is really struggling, but I keep wanting to say CEO, but the race or team boss of Williams, James Vowles, is still very adamant on keeping him there at the team for next year. So they're still backing him, but I don't think they can afford to hold on to him for too much longer.
No, indeed not. And the safety car is going to stay another lap here. So only lap 7 will be going probably. So not too many laps left, and those soft tyre runners will be very much the happier of the lot because they've not had to actually do too much racing on the soft so far, only under the restarts. And we've had one start race, then a restart. We're going to have another restart now. So the soft tyres are going to really try and pounce upon those medium tyre runners and see if they can take it to the end. As we do see the safety car is now ending, and unfortunately so is my time right now. I'm going to have to come back in a little bit, but Reece will take you through the rest of it. I'll be back in just a bit.
Just waiting for this to go back going. Muad, there's no green flag just yet, so we're just waiting for this to get back going again. I'm going to move into the middle of the screen now that Mark is gone. Yeah, it's been an interesting start to the sprint race. Max Verstappen not having a brilliant start to his race, but he was at least able to get that position back from Lando Norris. Verstappen had a 0.27 second reaction time. Norris had a 0.29 second. But just looking at this replay of the Ferraris, they were so quick off the line. Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz were absolutely rapid. Still waiting for the green flag to be shown. We're waiting to see now as they come through the final sector if they are just going to back everyone up. I think they are now as Piastri or Russell does start to back the entire grid up. We should see the restart coming very, very soon now. We do see now, as I said, George Russell backing up the pack as he gets ready to restart this race. We're waiting for him. He's backed them up very early, which is clever because you don't want... Oh, has he released just yet? Not just yet, but we're waiting for that release, and I see now he has released. He's going now, and the rest of the pack have been caught a little bit unaware. Oscar Piastri is quite far behind him. That's really not going to handle very well for Oscar Piastri. Carlos Sainz having a little bit of a look already at Oscar Piastri before he gets down the start-finish straight. You can only overtake once you have started your next lap, as Oscar Piastri is defending very hardly from Carlos Sainz. A lot of dust being kicked up. Will Oscar Piastri have the pace to hold on to second place here? But no, will they be able to hold on? He's going on the inside. Carlos Sainz stuck on the outside, and Oscar Piastri just is able to hold on to that position right now, waiting for his tyres to heat up a little bit more. Will he be able to keep ahead of the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz for the rest of this sprint race? Max Verstappen down in P5. He is slowly catching on Charles Leclerc. 3.3 seconds. 3.2 seconds is his gap to the leader right now. But we also cannot discount the wise old fox of Fernando Alonso down in P7. He's currently chasing down Lando Norris. Will he be able to take that position back? He was able to get the position back from Esteban Ocon. Will he be able to go and overtake Lando Norris yet again and be able to hold on to that position? Just watching the rest of this grid now, just forming a big line, not too much overtaking as of yet, but we're seeing Valtteri Bottas get ever so close off the back of Lewis Hamilton, or sorry, Lance Stroll is the one. Fernando Alonso, just watching a replay of him getting past Esteban Ocon, as George Russell is still being chased by Oscar Piastri. Carlos Sainz is also quite close to the back of him now. Will he make a move down into turn one? Just waiting to see. No, he doesn't. Not able to get close enough as of yet. George Russell setting the fastest lap of the race so far. Charles Leclerc starting to fall back on his teammates a little bit. Massive amounts of sparks coming off of his car. Max Verstappen closing in on him very quickly now on those medium tyres. I wonder how long those softs are going to last. Yeah, really interesting to see what is happening out here on the grid. Kevin Magnussen is down in 16th. It was his birthday this race weekend, but he is not having the greatest amount of luck. As I say, down in 16th position. We also have Zhou Guanyu down in 15th, currently fighting out with his teammate Valtteri Bottas, as George Russell once again sets another fastest lap of the session. Oscar Piastri, though, is going really quick through the first sector, so finally maybe these medium tyres are starting to come back towards him. We're going to have to wait and see what happens through the remainder of the sprint race. 11 laps to go, 8 laps done of the 19-lap sprint race. George Russell just pulling out ahead of Oscar Piastri. Max Verstappen getting quite close now to the back of Charles Leclerc. Half a second is that gap. Will he be able to make a move down into turn one as he's getting so close through the final sector of this racetrack? This racetrack, as they say in the Formula One commentary, is getting quicker and quicker by the lap. Because, of course, there is not much rubber down on the circuit. It's getting rubbered in every single lap that is getting put down on the circuit. And it's getting very close out here. Max Verstappen makes that move happen on Charles Leclerc for P4. Finally, Max Verstappen is starting to make that comeback that he needs to make happen if he wants to win the World Championship here in Qatar today. Oscar Piastri, though, sets the fastest lap time of the race with a 1:28.0. 1 second now behind George Russell. I think Russell is going to start sweating a little bit in that car. Maybe he might think it's raining, but it's sweat. He's going to be getting quite nervous with Oscar Piastri starting to reel him in. Don't forget to vote in that poll that we currently have running. Who will win the Formula 1 sprint race? Piastri with 24%, Lando Norris with 16%, Verstappen with 52%. At the moment, he's currently really having to fight it down if he wants to get that done. He's currently half a second behind Carlos Sainz. He may be able to make another move happen somewhere on the circuit. We'll have to wait and see what he's able to do. He's so close in the middle sector right now, but not able to make that move stick just yet. He'll have to wait for another sector where he can get just that ever bit closer, but he is right on top of Carlos Sainz at the moment through that final sector. You would certainly expect him to get onto that podium here today, and that final podium position is certainly within his grasp right now as he's chasing down Carlos Sainz through that final sector, approaching that start finish straight. Will he get him down here now? Just waiting to see. It looks like these soft tyre runners are slowly starting to fall back. These tyres are slowly starting to get away from them as Max Verstappen comes down the start finish straight. Does he get ahead of Carlos Sainz? Yes, he does. Well done, Max Verstappen. Yet another place made up here today. 10 laps to go of this race. Oscar Piastri on the radio being told soft runners are starting to struggle now. The race is going to come back to us as Max Verstappen takes the third position in this race. Oscar Piastri slowly starting to reel in George Russell as his tyres start to degrade and fall off. Charles Leclerc now being put on pressure from behind from Lando Norris. Lando Norris also on a set of mediums. He has certainly chosen the better race tyre here for the sprint race today. He's really reeling in Charles Leclerc very quickly. 0.3 seconds is the gap between the two of them right now. Max Verstappen is going to be wanting to reel in Oscar Piastri as quickly as possible. 2.6 seconds is his gap to Piastri ahead of him. Piastri now is within a second, though, to George Russell. This race is all starting to come here in the final moments. It's getting really exciting. Do be sure to let me know what you think in the comment section. It is so exciting here. Watching now Lewis Hamilton get ahead of Esteban or Pierre Gasly there to take 11th position. Sergio Perez still stuck, though, down in P10, not able to make inroads on Nico Hülkenberg ahead of him. Piastri so close now behind George Russell. Will he be able to make a move as they come down the start finish straight? He'll certainly be wanting to make a move here. Will he be able to make it stick as they come through the braking zone? Yes, he does. He gets ahead of George Russell. Well done, Oscar Piastri, the rookie, currently leading a Grand Prix race, or not a Grand Prix race, but a sprint race here in Qatar. George Russell has to concede that now that his tyres are starting to fall off, but Oscar Piastri has taken the lead of this race, as Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris are fighting as Lando Norris goes over the outside of Charles Leclerc and takes that 5th position away from the Ferrari. There's a yellow flag though, as Esteban Ocon and who is that? Sergio Perez. Esteban Ocon and Sergio Perez crash. Esteban Ocon, Nico Hülkenberg and Sergio Perez all crash. They are all out of the race. Esteban Ocon and Sergio Perez are in the gravel trap. This is going to be working absolutely perfectly for the likes of the Red Bull and the McLaren. Broken wing for Nico Hülkenberg as he tries to make his way back into the pits. That will be his race over. Unfortunately, Sergio Perez looks absolutely livid as he's standing outside of his car, just waving his arms at Esteban Ocon. And, oh, sorry, is that Esteban? Yes, it is Esteban Ocon. Just really upset with them. Just trying to look at his car if it is damaged to the point where it's not able to get running again. I think it is, but he's out of his car, just standing there in the gravel track. He should make his way off of the circuit quite quickly. You would expect that those marshals will come and pull him off soon. Oh, that's why he's calling. It's because, oh my word, that is horrific. That is a big amount of work now for the Red Bull engineers to do before tomorrow. There is a massive gouge in the side pod of Sergio Perez's car. That is going to be a new engine possibly for tomorrow. Massive shunt between Sergio Perez and Esteban Ocon, just waiting for this moment to be shown to us, but that is certainly a safety car, as we said right now, as we have a few drivers in the pits. We have Stroll and Magnussen in the pits at the moment. Just watching this moment, though, from Charles Leclerc, from Lando Norris getting past Charles Leclerc, and now watching what happened there. Esteban Ocon was trying to pass Nico Hülkenberg on the inside, and Sergio Perez was on the outside, and 3 into 1 corner just does not work. As, yeah, Ocon goes into Hülkenberg and then proceeds to take out Sergio Perez at the same time. Massive shunt with Hülkenberg getting sandwiched in the middle. Not a very pretty incident here, but glad to see that everyone is okay. We can see here how... Ooh, yeah, that is a big moment there. It's going to be a lot of work for the Red Bull engineers. Hopefully it's not an engine that is damaged. Hopefully it's just the radiators and the side pods. Otherwise, that's going to be a ton of work for them to do tomorrow. Nico Hülkenberg, he tries to go on the outside of Ocon, then switches to the inside. Then he has Perez onto his right, and he just has a driver on either side of him, and he gets absolutely sandwiched coming into turn 2. And unfortunately, that is all 3 of their races over today. As Chennai there says, poor Perez, insult to injury here today, as he really does need to return to his form to be able to prove that he deserves that Red Bull seat, as there's a lot of pressure on him at the moment. George Russell on the radio at the moment just saying that they need to come in and box, but I think it's a little bit too late already. Just being told there's no point if they stop, because I think it's not going to be possible to make your way through the grid fast enough. 12 laps have surpassed here in this race with 6 left to go. 19 laps in total, and we have done 8 so far in this race. Some Indy just asking, seems like Red Bull will be doing a switch position soon. Is Perez's career done? As Lindy also says, Perez was taken out, got caught up in a battle. Certainly, he was just trying to keep clean there and make the move on the inside. And unfortunately, Esteban Ocon caught and tagged Nico Hülkenberg in the middle and just took all 3 of them out. I like that moment, or that comment there from Leonardo saying a couple more crashes and Stroll might obtain a point. He's currently down in 13th place. He still has quite a few positions to make up if he wants to get a point here. You have to get up into, I think it's 8th place or 6th place, Mark? 8th place or 6th place for a point. I think it's 8th place here, as Mark does confirm. The car of Sergio Perez is still beached there in the gravel. They're still waiting to recover it. I think they're getting Ocon's car recovered first as he sits on the sidelines and watches his car for, well, that is currently in pieces being recovered there. Max Verstappen, this is certainly working into his hands here. And I think it's... Ooh, Max Verstappen already... it's been noted that there's some surface damage on his tyres. Verstappen just being told, come, let's get to the end. We need to get to the end. And, yeah... D-Way saying Verstappen is a 3-time world champion now. If he does finish the race in this current position, it is possible for him to take that world championship, but he needs to get to the end of the race, which is what his engineer Giampiero Lambiase was saying on the radio, just telling him, just get to the end. We need to get to the end here. It's still a long race ahead of us. We need to get to the end. As the safety car is still out on track, we're still waiting for that car. Sergio Perez is to be recovered from the track. And yeah, just looking at Max Verstappen at those title points right now, he is currently leading and winning the Drivers' Championship as of now. Max, not a raccoon saying a Max DNF would be interesting. It certainly would make things quite interesting. We'd possibly have 3 different constructors on the podium. We currently also still have 3 constructors on the podium. Looking at poor Nico Hülkenberg, he looks a little bit distraught there, quite upset. He got taken out, none of his own fault. And yeah, just disappointing as Ocon came across the outside, sandwiched him in between Perez and, in between Perez and Ocon. And he was very unfortunate and got taken out there. Safety car is still out on track. We're waiting for that to be released. But we just see how he tried to pull out at the last second, but he just was not able to. Just watching from, I think this is from Lewis Hamilton's perspective, watching from behind these 3, he's been quite fortunate to be able to have gotten away from that scot-free. But he's now picked up 3 positions. Lucky for Hamilton, he's up into P8 now, instead of down in P11. Yes, a lot of people joining us now and going, what is happening? 5 DNFs so far. It is currently Hülkenberg, Ocon, Perez, Sargent, and Lawson all out at the moment. Adventurous Nomad saying Perez's seat is confirmed for next year. There'll be no switch. Well, it is confirmed for next year, but look what happened in AlphaTauri this year. We had a driver change out halfway through the season, not even halfway through the season. The race before the summer break, we got Nick de Vries getting ousted from that team. Will we get that happening again as the safety car is now ending on this lap? We see Oscar Piastri now starting to back up the rest of the grid. This will work quite well for him now. He should be on the preferential tyre to George Russell. He will also have Max Verstappen possibly in the latter stages of the sprint race racing down at him to try and steal that point away from him. But will Oscar Piastri be able to stay calm-headed and be able to take this race win out here in Qatar? Lewis Hamilton down in P8 though, scoring some points. Good for him. His tyres are really old. The oldest out there of everyone with 20 laps on those set of mediums. Max Verstappen on a 13-lap-old set of mediums. Piastri on a 15-lap-old set of mediums. But Verstappen was told that there's some surface damage already. So definitely a bit of a concern for the Red Bulls for the race tomorrow. We're going to have to wait and see what happens. Maybe they're just going to have to run the hard tyre as much as possible tomorrow. We see George Russell really on the back of Oscar Piastri as Oscar Piastri starting to just weave a little bit. Max Verstappen tried to get going there as he thought. Piastri jumped. Now Piastri does jump. He gets away. He starts this lap. Once again, the sprint race is restarted for the third time now, as Oscar Piastri is once again leading from George Russell and Max Verstappen behind him. Max Verstappen will be wanting to get that move done on George Russell into turn 1. Will he be close enough though? He's not. He's going to have to look after these tyres now for the latter of the race. Charles Leclerc trying to get a move on Lando Norris down into turn 1. Will he make that work? No, he doesn't as of yet. They're getting very close into turn 1, but they keep it neat and tidy. Charles Leclerc able to get that move done on Lando Norris now, but the 2 Ferraris getting really close to each other. They're almost collided, but able to stay out of each other's way for now. But I'm sure Charles Leclerc will be on the radio screaming to get let ahead of Carlos Sainz very soon. But he might just have to make that move himself out on track. Max Verstappen now starting to put some pressure on the back of George Russell. That is the next place up the road for him, and then it is Oscar Piastri in the McLaren currently leading that race. George Russell is currently a second behind Oscar Piastri. Max Verstappen 0.6 seconds behind Russell right now. We're expecting Max to be able to get past George Russell relatively quickly. He should be able to get that move down on the start-finish straight, which he should be able to do very, very shortly. Lindy, we're saying, I hope Sergio Perez bounces back for tomorrow's race. Poor guy. The circumstances are beyond his control this time. It certainly was. Just watching this move from Charles Leclerc on Lando Norris, he got a brilliant slipstream down the start-finish straight at the restart of this race. Getting really, really close to him, positioning his car perfectly. He is on that older set of soft tyres, but still has the upper hand over Lando Norris at the moment. Lando Norris just getting boxed in by Carlos Sainz. Brilliant racing from Carlos Sainz to be able to allow his teammate to get that move done. As Max Verstappen moves his way into P2 now, getting past George Russell and making that move stick. As he now moves his way up into P2, the next driver up the road is 2.5 seconds up the road. It is Oscar Piastri, currently leading his first race in Formula 1. Will he be able to take that win here today? 16 laps of 19 laps left. We have 3 laps remaining. As Mud says, Gasly, he's giving his support for him here. Gasly's all the way down in 8th at the moment. Not too bad from him as we rewatch that replay from Max Verstappen making that move on George Russell. It looked a little bit too easy for him. But of course, George Russell on really old sets of softs now. Lando Norris still stuck at the moment behind the 2 Ferraris. His car just does not have the same pace of his teammate right now. Max Verstappen, though, slowly reeling in Oscar Piastri, but I don't think it's going to be enough. It looks like maybe Lando Norris, in the first stage of the race, having to use up that tyre so much, has possibly just used it up a little bit too much, and now he's not able to close that gap on Leclerc. He is being able to follow him quite closely. Maybe he will be able to take this position back before the end of the race. 0.3 seconds is currently that gap. We'll keep monitoring that and see if he's able to make that move down the start-finish straight. They're coming down there at the moment, and he does make that move stick once again on Charles Leclerc. Brilliant overtakes, and this bodes well for us tomorrow in the race. It's going to be very exciting. Lots of overtakes happening. We want to see this. 458 of you watching with us at the moment. Please do be sure to like the channel as Lando Norris tried to make a move on Carlos Sainz. He gets onto the dust there a little bit. Really following so closely though at the moment. Getting really, really competitive. Carlos Sainz on the inside line. Lando Norris overtakes him on the outside line now. Brilliant, brilliant lap from Lando Norris. 2 positions in 1 lap. Phenomenal. Max Verstappen now 2.1 seconds behind Oscar Piastri. As Charles Leclerc is starting to put a lot of pressure on the back of his teammates, as the likes of Fernando Alonso, another medium tyre runner, or actually no, he's a soft tyre runner, but he is slowly starting to reel in these 2 Ferraris right now. 2 seconds is that gap from Piastri to Verstappen, but there's still another 2 laps to go. I don't think Max Verstappen has the pace to be able to take that lap away from him right now. Lewis Hamilton was able to take the position away from Pierre Gasly as Gasly had a massive big lockup into turn 8, and that position gets given to Lewis Hamilton there. Not a raccoon, just saying damn, as well as Silent Bob saying Murray would have said he muscled his way through there and made that position up. He certainly did there. Carolyn Bitter just saying go Max. Max Verstappen's currently setting the fastest lap out there, not listening to his team engineer. Oh, his race engineer, Jean-Pierre Lambiase. As Charles Leclerc says, I think Carlos is struggling, pretty much being, saying, can I get ahead of him now, please? As Fernando Alonso gets overtaken now by Lewis Hamilton. 2 old rivals once again racing as Lewis Hamilton is getting so close now to the back of those 2 scrapping Ferraris. The 2 scrapping Ferraris are really starting to become to the detriment of themselves, as Lewis Hamilton is really eyeing up a move now on Charles Leclerc for that 6th position. Lewis Hamilton getting all over the back of Charles Leclerc right now. Leclerc bouncing all over the track. Will Lewis Hamilton make a lunge? Leclerc gets a lockup. Will Hamilton now get a better run into turn 13 and 14? He's trying to go around the outside. He's going around doing the switcheroo to the inside. Will he be able to make this move stick? It's so close between these 2 drivers right now. Hamilton really, really close behind him. Max Verstappen, I think, has decided, though, that is his race day over. He has conceded that 2nd position to Oscar Piastri. 2.1 seconds is that gap right now. Mark is coming to join us again. Let me just get that going. Yeah, there you are.
Yes, I hear all the action and I can't participate in it. We're in the light, literally going to the 2nd to last lap here. Piastri's leading the Grand Prix. Absolutely brilliant from him. to come back at it. Verstappen's in second, Russell third, Norris now fourth. The Ferraris have dropped down again to where they started the race in fifth and sixth. Clearly the soft tyres struggling now as Leclerc's coming under pressure from Hamilton, who's going to make a move now with DRS on this main straight shot. And we'll see now also a move being made from Russell and Norris as Norris gets past him and moves into third position.
Lando Norris gets that final podium position away from George Russell. George Russell was hopeful that he was going to be able to hold on to that final position, as Hamilton, the other Mercedes, is fighting it out right now on the final lap with Carlos Sainz. It's getting so scrappy out here in the final few corners.
Tell you what's been very impressive from Hamilton to start in 12th. Is now currently in 6th and is fighting with Sainz in this last lap. He's already taken Leclerc now. Can he take Sainz before the end of this lap? But Oscar Piastri is on track to win his first ever sprint in the Grand Prix, in Formula 1.
Brilliant for him. I know it's not necessarily ruled as a race, but we're still really happy to see Oscar Piastri take his first race win yet. And I think
Hamilton's taken Sainz, sorry.
Hamilton takes Sainz, so it's a 4th and 5th for Mercedes right now. Brilliant from George Russell and Lewis Hamilton. Of course, Russell finishing where he qualified. As Oscar Piastri is coming through the final few corners now, Max Verstappen slowly closing that gap on him, but it's not going to be enough as Oscar Piastri now comes across the line and wins his first sprint race in Formula 1. Phenomenal for Oscar Piastri. Max Verstappen crosses the line and becomes world champion for the 3rd time in a row. Max Verstappen, drivers' champion. Once again in Formula 1. Phenomenal for Max Verstappen in such a dominant year for Red Bull.
Yeah, indeed. So it's been a brilliant race for McLaren, and I would say for Red Bull, of course, Perez is out. But they know that they've won now, not just the Constructors' Championship, but also the Drivers' Championship. Max Verstappen is 2023 FIA Formula 1 World Champion as a result.
And what a phenomenal sprint race that was. We were a little bit worried with the reduction of the radiuses into some of the corners with the revisions of the track limits because of all of the degradation around the circuit. But it looks like it still provided some really good racing for us today. Especially, we expected there to be some good racing off the back of 2021 when we first came here. And I think this year has just given us even more of a treat. In a 19-lap race, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch this all fold out tomorrow.
I was about to say, the fact that we had 5 DNFs in just the sprint race today, imagine what's going to happen tomorrow in the main race. Tyre strategies are going to be huge for Qatar tomorrow. Tyre degradation is ridiculously high. And I think we're going to see at least 3, if not even 4 pit stops tomorrow for a lot of these drivers because this tyre is clearly not lasting at all. And I think also it's going to be very interesting to watch what happens with those Mercedes and those McLarens with regards to Red Bull.
Yes, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with them. As a lot of people there just giving their congratulations to Oscar Piastri as well as to Max Verstappen for winning the season. As Angie Manchi just says, their amazing season from Max, well deserved, and congratulations. As the two McLarens take it home in formation here with Oscar Piastri having won the race. Lando Norris being a little bit outperformed by his teammates at the moment. Certainly not what we expected to have the season, but phenomenal from Piastri.
Sorry. Yeah. No, as a lot of the comments are saying, it's definitely watching a future world champion, I think, in Oscar Piastri, because he really is. I think it's showing you, and like everyone's always said, oh, Norris is the one, Norris is the one. I think we've seen now properly, Piastri is one hell of a driver for the future. Cannot wait to see what happens with him. And I really do like Piastri. He's a really, really nice guy. And certainly going to be a great person to watch for the next few years. And yeah, thank you so much for everybody joining us in the stream today. Great commentary, says a whole lot of people here. And Silent Bob saying, great show. Many thanks to you, Reece and Mark. Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. I'm very sorry that I wasn't able to participate too much in today. I have to be driving across doing certain things the whole time. But Reece will do the review for you because I do, unfortunately, again, have to run off. But I just wanted to catch the end here as we do see Max Verstappen is going on to the leaderboard. It's quite upsetting for Oscar Piastri because his win is just being dumbed out a little bit here as Max Verstappen makes his way onto a very special stage as he gets announced as the world champion for 2023.
Yes, Max Verstappen puts his car up there on the LED boards with all of those graphics going around, and you can really see the amount of degradation on those tires on that car. And yeah, a lot of people saying goodbye. Thank you very much for joining us here today. Do be sure to join us tomorrow as well as Max Verstappen holds up 3 fingers to say that is championship number 3 on the belt for himself now.
Yeah, indeed. And now Red Bull are literally just racing for fun for the rest of this season because they've still got a few races to go, but there's nothing for them to achieve except for maybe a second place for Sergio Perez, but that's all down to him. The team itself, Drivers' Championships, under the belt, the Constructors' Championship, under the belt. There's nothing more for them to win.
P2.
P2's not in a winning spot. That's why I say there's nothing more for them to win. Max Verstappen is elated, of course.
Gets a big hug from his partner there, Kelly Piquet, Nelson Piquet's daughter. And the only other Formula One driver to have ever won a championship in a sprint race. Max Verstappen becomes the second world champion to win a title in a sprint race. His father-in-law and him will be able to have a good chuckle about the fact that they are the only two that currently have that record. And we see the race winner, Oscar Piastri, getting congratulated by his team. Absolutely elated and over the moon for him, as Mark is going to head out now. And I'm going to go into our Formula One review of the Grand Prix here.
Bye.
Mark just saying goodbye there. Yeah, very, very exciting to see what happens here today. It's going to be a very interesting race tomorrow. I think it's all going to be to fight for. We're going to have to wait and see, and you're all just going to have to join us for that session as well. Abdul just saying Albon took a point, P17 to P8. Phenomenal, phenomenal day for him. It was just so busy out there. We didn't even see that action there for Alex Albon today, unfortunately, but really happy for him nonetheless. As I quickly change my title here, and we will go into our sprint review. I'm just getting that already, and we should transition over in 3, 2, 1. And there you go. Now we're in the studio. Let me get rid of these headphones. We don't need those anymore. And I'm going to start recording for the Grand Prix Sprint Review. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Motorsports for the review of the Qatar Grand Prix Sprint Race. And what a sprint race that was. A very, very dramatic start to it. And just off the bat, 5 DNFs in that sprint race. We had Liam Lawson DNFing on the first lap there. He lost it, unfortunately, and went into the gravel trap, got caught out there, and unfortunately that was his sprint race over and done with. Then we had Logan Sargent have a pretty much copy and paste in the middle sector of Liam Lawson. He also just lost the car in the middle sector and just had a big snap of understeer, overcorrected, went into the gravel and was unable to get that car recovered from there. And then the other 3 that retired, they all took each other out, unfortunately. We had Esteban Ocon, Nico Hülkenberg, and Sergio Perez fighting for position into turn 2 after a safety car restart. And they all were coming into that corner 3 abreast. Esteban Ocon on the outside, Kevin Magnussen in the middle, getting sandwiched in between Sergio Perez and Esteban Ocon. Unfortunately, they all took each other out. The 2 drivers of Esteban Ocon and Sergio Perez were unfortunately beached in the gravel. Nico Hülkenberg was able to make his way back into the pits, but his race was over, unfortunately, with a destroyed front wing. Yeah, not necessarily the greatest incident we would have wanted to see in the race, but nonetheless a very, very exciting sprint race this afternoon with a lot of jostling for positions. We had Lewis Hamilton fighting it up from P12 on the grid. He finished all the way up in P5. And to make our way through the order there, Oscar Piastri. It has been so crazy. We haven't even spoken about Oscar Piastri taking his maiden race win in Formula 1. Of course, it is a sprint race, but nonetheless, he takes a race win in Formula 1. Finally, we get the rookie taking that race win. Phenomenal from him, and certainly we are looking at a future world champion in the making. Piastri, P1 there today. Verstappen finishes in P2, and most importantly for Verstappen, he gets enough points here today to take the World Championship. So Max Verstappen is now crowned champion of the world for 2023 in Formula 1. Then third on the grid, finishing that race, was Piastri's teammate Lando Norris. So a double McLaren podium here in the sprint race in Qatar. Phenomenal for them. Hopefully that bodes well for them tomorrow in the race. They had some brilliant pace. Verstappen, though, was slowly starting to inch back on Piastri in the latter stages. Then we had George Russell finishing fourth. He had a great start to the race, taking that first position away from Oscar Piastri, but he did start on a set of softs. And then we had the likes of Piastri, Verstappen and Norris, and a couple of the other front runners starting on the mediums, which certainly was the better strategy here today in the sprint race, because those soft tyres really did start to fall off in the end, as we saw George Russell fall back into P4, his starting position. Hamilton then finished in P5, as I said. Brilliant race from him today. The 2 Ferraris were looking really rapid off the line. They were able to get away really quickly and actually take positions away from Max Verstappen and Lando Norris there. They were looking phenomenal. I think we'll have to look at them for tomorrow in the race. They're going to be able to do something, I think, quite special there. Possibly putting up some challenges for for the top runners. Then Alex Albon finished in P8. Brilliant race from him. I think someone said he started in P17. Yes, he started in P17, finished up in P8. Phenomenal day for Alex Albon. Once again, having a great day, scoring 1 point. Fernando Alonso then finishing in P9. Gasly P10. Bottas in 11th. Tsunoda in 12th. Stroll in 13th, another dismal day for him. Magnussen down in 14th, and Zhou, the final finisher here in the sprint race, finishing in 15th. What a race that was here today. We're watching Oscar Piastri get interviewed here now. He's looking quite happy with his first sprint race win. And I'm sure many of you guys are also agreeing with me at the fact that Oscar Piastri is surely looking to be a future world champion. In his rookie season, taking a race win, taking pole positions, phenomenal for the rookie here. Max Verstappen, though, if we speak about that start for him today, it wasn't the best. We would expect him to have a bit of a better start. Lando Norris was able to get ahead of him, and then the both of them lost out to the Ferraris. But unfortunate for them, I think it was mostly due to the fact that they were starting on the mediums. The Ferraris were the outliers, as well as the Mercedes of George Russell starting on those softs. It made their life quite difficult in the first stints of the race, as well as with all of those safety cars that were brought out for those crashes and for the cars that were beached out there. Bit of a mixed up event here, but so many overtakes, and it was certainly very exciting for us fans, and it bodes well for the race tomorrow. So do be sure to join us for that there tomorrow afternoon when we do go racing out under the lights in Qatar. We are certainly really looking forward to it and looking forward to watching it alongside all of you. Thank you very much though for tuning in here to Forever Motorsports. Do be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you want to get more Formula 1 and motorsport content on your YouTube timelines. Thank you very much though for watching. I've been Reece